Hello everyone, welcome to What If Deku Had Monstrous Quirk and Created an Army of Nomu Monsters Movie 1. Before we start, please go support Cyber Command 3 for writing that awesome fanfic. Izuku Midoriya had an interesting but weak quirk. But what he lacked in strength he more than made up for in brain. Sadly, others didn't see this and still treated him like shit. Have this pushed for around 5 years, and you have a broken mind. Welcome to nowhere. Izuku was a young boy. One with possibly the greatest mind of his time. The one problem was the way people saw him, just cause of his quirk. He had the ability to see and open invisible portals that were hidden around the world. These things lead to a place called the Void. It was a blank white space with absolutely nothing in it. The place was Izuku's safe haven from the amount of discrimination he was treated through his life. People thought that since the portals had to be already existing ones and not created, he could never be a hero. It hurt him how even the boy he considered to be his best friend betray him and abuse him every day at school. But even after that, he still let it happen. He didn't care, for he would still follow his dream. Later on, when he was around 8, he had created a powerful machine. He did this obviously in the Void since he spends most of his time there. What he had created showed he was smarter than all the other beings on the planet, for he made a spherical object that can give quirks. What the machine does is it scans the holder's brain waves to see what they are imagining, then creates a genetic structure for that thing. With it, then a syringe comes out that once put in, a person edits their genetic structure to create the quirk based on the thing. For example, think of fire and it creates a genetic code for a fire quirk. He was so proud of his invention and wanted to show everyone. But he realized if he did, all of them would probably not believe him and maybe even break his creation. He couldn't have that, so he left it in the Void. One day when he left the Void, now at the age of 9, the portal he opened was in an alleyway. He can never see the other side of the portals, so sometimes he makes a mistake on where to go. Of course, looking around, he noticed not much was going on. He heard the sound of some trouble, like heroes fighting. As he was about to check it out, he then remembered that he told his mom he'd get the groceries. Quickly he went to the store, bought everything he needed, then went home. "Mom, I'm home," Izuku called as he came into the house. But it fell upon empty ears as no one was there. He assumed that she was probably working overtime again, so didn't think much of it. He went into the Void to play around a bit more with his creation. Izuku had been experimenting with his toy, and had realized he can create his own life with it. Sadly, it apparently can't be that intelligent, but it works. The creatures appeared to be these giant humanoids, with buggy-like eyes and their brains exposed. He hadn't thought of a name for them yet, but he did make a lot of them. His prized possessions were the one with the bird-like head that has shock absorption and super regeneration. His other one had a crocodile-like head with flame breath and miasma skin. All his creations though had multiple strength quirks to make them formidable in the physical department. After playing with his creations and testing the machine more, he decided to go back home. Once there, he noticed his mother was still not back yet, so he went and turned on the news. Earlier today, a fight broke out as a villain was holding a young boy hostage. The criminal was using the boy to create fires, causing chaos and anarchy. As the heroes tried to put out the fire and rescue anyone in the surrounding buildings, Almight had arrived to save the day. Sadly, the villain had killed a nearby woman before the number 1 hero could capture them. The woman's name was Izuku Midoriya. We mourn the loss of her, and everyone else that dies in these attacks, the news spokesman said as it played a video of the attack. "What?" Izuku whispered quietly as tears rolled down his eyes. Izuku quickly downloaded the clip and replayed it in slow motion, and that's when he saw it. The villain hadn't killed his mother, it's cause that bastard hero didn't hold back as much. The bucking wind pressure from the blow broke her neck, for she was on the street over behind the attack passing by. The piece of shit hero killed his mother. And that was when he snapped. He lost all hope in heroes. In fact, he lost all hope in humanity. They treated him like dirt, and then have the gall to take away his one bright light. He will make them all pay, he will make them all suffer. And so he went back into the Void. No, not the Void, nowhere. He decided to now call it nowhere, since that's where he felt he belonged. In this place he didn't require things such as sleep and food. He worked day and night creating an army of his monsters, making all as ferocious as the others. If he couldn't have a happy ending, then no one should. He opened portals to get supplies and made armor for all his creatures. He trained his mindless brutes to use weapons, and put a quirk in all of them that made it so his mind controlled all of them. Sadly, what Izuku didn't realize was that the machine had side effects to the holder if used too many times. His body started to change. Half of his body was now covered in a gooey, black substance, and there were two long, golden antlers coming out of his head. His face was covered, and all that could be seen was his glowing green eyes. He commanded his creatures to leave as he started to make more. After the first batch left, he realized he needed more resources. But as he tried to open a portal, nothing appeared. "What?" Izuku questioned, his voice now deep and distorted. "Why can't I see the doorways anymore, nor can I seem to open them? Wait, I never knew what my drawback was." Based on how it's acted before, then it must mean OH. That's rich. This shitty quirk is used by my mind, which means that if the mind has reached the limit of what it considers to be sanity, it has a failsafe. This fucking quirk thinks I'm insane. I'll show it insane, ha ha ha. No matter, I'll just have the first batch hide their gear and go into hibernation. And if some bloke comes across them, if I think the person is useful, we'll let them think they are in control of my pets. And I'll just make more and wait, for my time will come eventually. Blink, and you're in insanity. Right now in the real world we see what looks to be a huge building. The outer wall looked like an old Japanese-style house with a beautiful garden. The inside of the building was also designed that way with decorations and wooden floors. Sadly, the outer walls of the structure did not look as astounding. Inside the humble abode there was also a secret entrance to a lower floor. The place was a maze of twists and turns, all underground and spanning everywhere. It was obvious that unless you knew this place like the back of your hand or had a map, you'd get lost. Around the inside as well were symbols hanging from the walls. They looked to be a flower shaped outside, in it were two octagons and then a circle in the middle. The center also had some markings on it that looked like two doors and two lines crossed above it. This was the symbol of the Yakuza known as the Shai Hasaikai. In the base we see three people walking around. One of them had a casual suit with a tie and had yellow hair with it slanted to cover his right eye. One was bald and also wore a casual suit. His brows were in such a way that you couldn't see his pupils due to the shadow. The last one wore a bag over his head with eye and mouth holes cut out. He also looked to have a way larger jaw than most people. These three were order of names as in the order I described them: Toya Setsuno, Yu Hojo, and Soramitsu Tabe. They were part of a new branch in the Hasaikai called the 8 Bullets. There were 5 other members and they all worked under the head of the Yakuza's son. The name of the man they worked for is Kai Chisaki. The 3 idiots walked out of the building. Setsuno was leading ahead in a slouched position. He walked into the alley and kicked a can that was on the ground. "Toya, come on, it's not that bad," Hojo said as he chased after his friend. "I know you, but I just have those days, you know. Those days when I wish that stupid hero didn't save my life and I successfully plummeted to my death," Setsuna stated in a dull, emotionless voice. After saying that, he sat down on the dirty passage. Hojo and Tabe walked over to him. "Toya, we are here for you. We have all been there, you know this. And we'll always be here for each other," Tabe stated. "I know, but like I said, it's just that sometimes I wish I could leave this place." As he whispered that, what he didn't know was the invisible object that heard it. From behind the depressed adult opened a rift, a doorway. His want to leave this reality, and the proximity to the door, made it open. Toya," Hojo said, surprised. "What?" Setsuna asked as he turned around. His eyes widened as he looked at it. "What is that?" "Maybe place away from bad world," Tabe said, what they were all thinking. Without a second thought after hearing that, Setsuna ran into the portal. His 2 comrades quickly chased after the man. Once they got in, they realized the place was a white empty void with no life whatsoever. They looked around the place to see if there was anything, but there didn't seem to be. As they kept going, however, they then heard a splash. They looked ahead and saw a black ooze droplet hit the floor and burst. All three of them looked up to see that goo covering the entire ceiling as more of the goop balls started falling. The exploded goop spread on the floor, and then it started to congregate. The ooze formed together and started to move as it shaped itself. An elk skull came out of the goop, and the gigantic monster formed out of the abnormality. The entity was around 30 feet tall and looked to be an amalgamate of creatures. Its head and feet were of an elk, its legs of insects, and its body was of a dragon. The physical part of his body being completely made up of this strange matter. It looked at the three while standing on its legs and spoke in a raspy, deep voice. "How did you get in here? You somehow found how to open the rift?" The thing questioned as it walked around him. "Where is the doorway?" His head then turned to their direction. "Gulp, the way we came in is somewhere back there. We don't exactly know since we've been walking for so long," Setsuna answered. "Well, then I have no more need for the likes of you." As the entity said that, the mush from his body grew from his feet till it was under them, and then wrapped around. The stuff kept stretching tentacles that pulled them deeper, and tried as they might couldn't escape. After a few minutes of struggling, they drowned in the gunk. "How foolish could they be? They opened up the door for me. If they liked it here, then they can stay," the entity stated as it flew into the air, and blasted through the portal. Once it went through, it realized where it wound up. It quickly noticed the Yakuza base and decided to start there. The creature flooded the entire facility with its slop and suffocated everyone in the Foundation, no matter how hard they tried to resist, all except two. These being Kai Chisaki, and a little girl named Eri. The creature crawled towards Kai after it restrained his hands. "What year is this?" "It's the year 2049. "Ah, then I have no more use for you." After that, the entity's tail wrapped around Kai's head and snapped his neck. After that, he turned to the girl. Please don't hurt me," the little girl said while trembling. "Don't worry, your pain will end soon. Sing in lullaby, hush now, and die, little ones. Hush now, into the middle of nowhere, where the singing and laughter die." After the entity finished, it had done its work and the little girl had choked to death. And with that, the beast was gone. Hail to the king. Down the abandoned alleyways of Kamino Ward we see a black, viscous ooze drenching all the walls around. Sliding through them is the massive creature that came from that empty realm. It crawls the streets, somehow fitting through these passageways. Its feet make a scuttling sound like a bug's with every step. Its mouth, also leaking the same goop as its body. The monstrosity seemed to be looking for something. It looked through every inch of the area until it heard talking. The thing quietly looked inside, only to see a bunch of its creations in containers. It also saw Old Man talking to someone who seemed to have no face. It was relieved to notice these people had barely any of his creations, but still wanted them back. So, he quickly flooded the entire room with his sludge. The old man drowned very quickly, but the other man was a lot of trouble. He was able to blow the goop away for a little while, but it overwhelmed him and he died as well. The demon then explored more of the facility before it would release its children. There it found the dead body of what looked to be a white-haired male. The thing thought maybe he could be of use, so pulled a weird machine out of its body. Human-looking hands came out of the creature's neck and grabbed the object. Then the thing injected something into the dead body. Suddenly it burst to life as a black-like fog surrounded the hands and head. The person sat up as it shook its head. "What happened to me? Wait, why does my voice sound different? I revived you. I apologize though that I had to change some of your genetic structure to do that. That is the reason why your body and voice are different," the entity said. The man looked at the beast and backed up in surprise when seeing it. "You revived me. Then what do you want in return? You will help me wipe out this filthy human race. And don't try to refuse, the thing I injected into you makes it so you'll follow my commands forcibly if I want to." "Fine, but is there 2 more people you can take under you as well?" "Of course, but I'll have to make them unhuman like you." "So what are their names?" "Shota Aizawa and Hisashi Yamada." "And what is your name?" "Oboro Shirikuma." "I take it that you know the other 2 and I can't have them knowing who you are till I convert them as well. So for now I will call you Kurojairi." As he was about to say more, he heard the door open. "Master?" a raspy voice said as a blue-haired individual came through the open door. The man then saw the entity as well as Kurogyri. He then looked down and saw his master's dead body in the ooze on the ground. You killed Master? Yes, now I won't kill you since I see your quirk, and it looks very interesting. Though I will be converting you into non-human as well. The entity then injected the other man as well. For him though, hands grew all over his body where even his face was one. His eyes and mouth were on top of the face hand. Now you can disintegrate in more places than just your normal grabbing limbs. Now what is your name? My name is Tamura Shigaraki. Excellent, Kurogyri, you will watch over Tamura. You both will command the Nomu and carry out plans to seem like a normal villain group. This way no one will know about me. What do we call you, sir? Kurogyri asked. I am the Nowhere King, but you will call me Your Majesty. Now let's go by another facility for you two to stay in. After looking around for a bit, they found a building for sale that was still in Kamino but far away from the other base. They had used a Nomu with a shape-shifting quirk to go and buy the place. Afterward they used Kurogyri to teleport everything they needed to that location. Once that was done, Tamura threw out all of the severed hands of his family. He didn't need them anymore since they can't hook to his new body anyway. So what is our first plan, Your Majesty? Kurogyri asked. I want you both to get information on UA by any means necessary. I also want you to find out specifically about all the students. Yes, Your Majesty. With all that done, Nowhere King leaves back to the other facility and frees the rest of the Nomu. My children, you are now free and will help me wipe this slate clean. We will fix this world and kill all of humanity. The creatures kneeled to the king and roared. Now build me my throne. With that command, the creatures got to work. The Nowhere King, now with nothing to do, went to go check on an old friend. The entity quickly made sure it wasn't seen as it slithered through multiple cities. After a while he arrived at a home, a very familiar one. He climbed on top of it and looked through the window into a room. There we see a boy with blonde spiky hair. Ah, Kaken. It's been 6 long years since I saw you. While I can't let you know about me yet, I will help you transcend the limitations of being human soon. Then we can be together again. Like old times before you got that filthy quirk, the entity said to itself while watching the boy. After looking at the male for hours, like the creepy stalker it is, left. He went back to his base of operations and sat in his new throne. It curled most its body around the end and smiled to itself. By the time I'm done, this universe will be fixed and wiped of this filth. Ha 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 ha. Time to strike. Deep in the villain's lair we see a ginormous, goopy creature twisting and turning in its enormous room. The Nowhere King was moving around, getting cozy in his new throne when Kurogyri came into the room. Your Majesty. What is a Kurogyri? Well, Tamura broke into UA and stole files for the students' schedules. It seems Class 1A is going to a place called the USJ with Almight and 2 other faculty members. Excellent. This can be when you and Tamura introduce yourselves as that cliché League of Villains cover so that no one will know our full plans. Round up as many thugs as you can for this mission. We need to make it seem like we're taking this seriously. I'll also send you my Nomu that has shock absorption and super regeneration so that way they think we have a plan to kill Almight. I mean it can, but that darn hero will probably still beat it. Now go and prepare. Yes, Your Majesty. With that the portal user left. The next day we see a bunch of students going into a humongous facility. There was also a man that looked to need more sleep and an astronaut. The first one was named Aizawa, or his hero name Eraserhead, while the space suit was named 13. They were both here to supervise and help these young heroes in training learn how to rescue civilians. As they were about to start, however, a misty portal appeared in the middle of the fountain. It then bloomed to a gigantic size and out walked a bunch of villains. Cool, they even have fake villain! A boy with red hair shouted. But Aizawa stepped in front of the children while he slipped his goggles on. Stay back, this isn't fake, those are real villains. As he stated this, the students' faces turned to fear. Where's Almight? I brought all these friends to meet him and he doesn't show up? Well, maybe if we kill some kids he'll finally have the guts to come here, Shigaraki said. Right then Nomu walked out of the portal as well. From what I can tell, the guy with hands growing out of his body seems to be the leader. But what kind of quirk has that type of effect on the user? Aizawa thought as he jumped down towards the villains. As he was fighting though and the students were going towards the door, Kurogiri appeared in front of them. Damn, I blinked and the guy who seemed the most trouble got away. Sorry to bother you in this place of righteousness, we are the League of Villains and are here to exterminate Almight. After all, what better place than in the confines of a hero establishment, yet I do not see him here. There must have been a change that we could not foresee. As he was talking, Bakugo and Kirishima launched and attacked at the teleporter. Your school does live up to its reputation, but you better be careful or someone may get hurt, the villain said as the smoke cleared to reveal he was fine. Now I will scatter you all over this facility, to meet my friends and your deaths, Kurogiri declared as his entire body expanded and warped most of the students to the different zones of the Foundation. Some of them, however, were able to escape his grasp, so were still at the entrance. Class Rep. 13 said while looking towards Ida. Run to UA and tell the faculty what's going on. They cut off communications and alarms, so that means they probably don't know what's going on. Which is also why they don't want any of us to leave. Use your speed to save lives, be a hero. What a brilliant strategy, but it's not smart to tell your plan out loud in front of the enemy, Kurogiri shouted as he was about to attack. It doesn't matter if you hear us once I'm through with you. As 13 said this, their finger opened up and started to suck Kurogiri's body in. Of course, it didn't move his physical mass but was making it unable for him to spread out. Of course, Ida used this chance to run past Kurogiri, open the door and zoom out. Damn, he's gonna call for backup. Well, at least I can take care of a hero before I go. After all, 13, you're a rescue hero. You don't have that much battle awareness. Kurogiri opened up a portal in his body and another behind 13. What a joke, it seems you turned yourself into dust. The portal made 13's suction hit the user, and his entire back casing broke. They fell down injured, and fainted. Meanwhile on the plaza, we see Aizawa fighting all the thugs at once. He would erase their quirks then knock them out as quick as possible. After most were taken out, Tamura decided to get in on the action. Final boss, the hero said to himself. He was faster than Aizawa had expected. For 1 second the villain was on the upper level with the fountain, the next he was right in front of the hero. Startled, Aizawa threw his capture scarf at the criminal, but he just caught it. You're very skilled, aren't you, Eraserhead? But I found your tell, your hair rises when you're using that annoying quirk. You're starting to blink more. Be careful, or you might just fall apart. When the villain finished speaking, he grabbed Aizawa's elbow and the skin and flesh started to crumble to dust until his muscle was showing. The hero quickly kicked the villain away, but since it hit one of the other hands, his shoe also turned to dust. Ha ha ha, now this is fun. I always love when you heroes live up to your hype. It makes all these fights more appealing. Oh BTW hero, I'm not the final boss. When hearing that, Aizawa turned around and all he saw was a giant, clawed hand before his entire world went black. We are the champions. We see 2 heroes in training residing in what looks to be a reigning city. One has a bird head and a giant hand made of darkness coming from his back. The other is a rocky-looking humanoid that seemed like he couldn't really do anything since there were no animals around. The Raven one was taking care of any thugs that tried to attack them while the block was luring them over. That's 14 down, good job Koda, the Raven stated to the now named Koda. The boy just nodded towards the bird then kept doing his job. In another area that looks to be a destroyed city, we see a kid with red hair and sharp teeth teamed up with the explosive user we all know. Damn, these villains keep coming, the redhead shouted. Ha, it doesn't matter, these guys are all pathetic, Bakugo shouted as he then exploded another man in the face. He swung around and blasted another villain that tried to hit him from behind. Let's go back to the main plaza. If all the villains in the rest of the areas are like these small fries, then the others will be fine. The only main villains seem to be there, Bakugo stated. Now to the plaza, it would be an understatement to say that Aizawa has never felt this much pain at once. He currently had 2 broken arms and was being pinned down by the giant, dark-skinned humanoid with the bird head and brain sticking out. You are a pretty impressive superhero, erase your head, but when it comes to pure brute strength you'd be better off as a quirkless child, ha 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 ha, Shigaraki said as he then started to laugh maniacally. Damn, this guy snapped both my arms like they were twigs. I'm positive I used my quirk, which means this guy is insanely powerful even without quirks. Oh, I forgot to introduce you to him. This is the bioengineered anti-symbol of peace, but you can call him Nomu. Meanwhile, back up at the entrance, 2 of the children, Uraraka and Mina, were carrying 13, who was injured immensely, while Sato and Shoji are holding Kurojairi back. You children are getting to be very annoying. Why don't you get out of my way so I can finish my job? But as Kurojairi was saying that, Shoji hit him right in the metal plating on his neck, causing him to fall over in pain. He has a physical body, aim for the metal brace around his neck. Crap. Kurojairi quickly portaled away after hearing the student shout that, and wound up right next to Shigaraki. Master Shigaraki, 13 has been taken care of, but there were some students I was unable to dispose of and one got outside the facility. When hearing this, Shigaraki started to scratch his throat in annoyance till it bled. Damn it, Kurojairi, if you weren't our portal I'd disintegrate you. Well, if all those heroes show up it will be game over, so looks like we'll just go home, and I was so looking forward to finishing this today. But before we go, let's wreck All Might's pride. Nomu. The mindless creature rushed behind the 2 heroes in training that were carrying 13 and punched right through the downed hero's head, causing her to perish. They screamed and cried in sorrow as the headless hero laid lifeless as the monster stood above them. It went to attack Mina, but before it could grab her, a giant metal door launched past and cut off its arm. From behind the direction it flew from was All Might, and he wasn't smiling. I was on my way over when I bumped into young Ida. He told me of the evil at work here. Now you have nothing to fear, students, for I am here. All Might quickly rushed in, knocked out the rest of the cannon fodder villains, grabbed Aizawa, and the 2 girls. You two, go carry Aizawa out of here, the rest of you, leave as well, I'll take care of this villain. The muscular hero then rushed in and punched the Nomu. The creature didn't even budge, and then swung at the pro. He ducked under the attack and then uppercut the beast's jaw. Again, the attack had no effect and the monster grabbed All Might's wrist. It then threw him into the middle of the plaza. Haha, that's it, Nomu, crush that pesky symbol of peace, Shigaraki shouted. It seems my blows have no effect on you. Obviously you don't, stupid hero. Nomu has shock absorption. The only way you'd be able to beat him is by gouging out his flesh, but I don't think he'll let you do that. Thanks for that, you just told me how to beat him. All Might went behind Nomu, grabbed his waist and proceeded to suplex the creature into the concrete. The strength from the attack created a smoke screen, and when it cleared the monster was gone and a portal was in its place. The beast came from behind and punched All Might in the head. This caused him to launch and slam into the fountain. As the beast was about to chase after the injured hero though, its legs turned to ice. Out from behind walked a boy with half white and half red hair named Todoroki. Also in the place where Kurojairi was, an explosion hit the back of his neck brace as Bakuga pinned him down. The symbol of peace will not be killed, Todoroki stated. Ha, I found out your weakness, you bucking villain. You're immune to attacks if they're not perfectly aimed. Try to teleport out of this one, and I'll blow you to bits. All Might got up and walked over to the ice user. Good job, Todoroki, now I'll take it from here. Damn it, in a single move All Might and these stupid UA brats immobilized both my associates. Looks like we'll have to take care of that, Nomu. After hearing its master's call, the creature pulled itself, causing its legs to shatter to pieces. It then focused its attention on All Might and all the monster's limbs regrew. What, I thought you said his quirk was shock absorption, the symbol of peace shouted. I didn't say that was his only quirk, he also has super regeneration. He's basically a highly efficient punching bag that hits back. Your perfect match, symbol of peace. Now Nomu, free our escort. The monster quickly rushed and threw a punch at Bakugo. All Might, seeing this, ran to the student and threw him out of the way. Though this caused him to get hit instead, and launch him through the wall into the fire zone in the USJ. Cough, cough. Students, get out of here. I am thankful for your help, but this is too dangerous. I've got this. The hero and Nomu rushed each other at the same time, and their fists clashed. The wind pressure from the colliding attacks caused a wind pressure that blasted everyone back. They kept striking each other over and over again, but the speed of the hero was overwhelming the creature's attacks and causing him to become the only one striking. Hey, didn't you listen? Nomu has shock absorption. What about it? You said he has shock absorption, not nullification. That means there's a limit, right? As Almight shouted this, he ducked under one of the Nomu's strikes, grabbed its arm, then tossed it. The pro hero then jumped up and slammed both feet onto the creature's head, burrowing it into the ground. He then grabbed the beast by its jaw, lifted it, and then punched it with enough force that the monstrosity launched out of the facility and destroyed a few clouds. Well, villain, your ace is defeated. Surrender now, and you won't be hurt. He cheated. Nomu was supposed to beat you. There is no way you could have won. Shigaraki, calm down. Nomu was already predicted to fail. This was just a test run. You're right. Let's go home, we can do this another day. As he said this, though, a bullet went through his hand and he screamed in pain. The one that shot him was the pro hero's snipe. As the other teachers arrived, Kurojiri quickly portaled him and Tamura away and escaped. They arrived at the bar, and once fully formed, Kurojiri slapped Tamura. That is for trying to kill Aizawa when I specifically told you not to. I wasn't gonna kill him. I know the hero's limits, and was just making sure he wouldn't be able to fight back. Both of you stop fighting. The gravelly voice of the Nowhere King echoed. Our first mission worked out exactly as planned. Now to gather more elite soldiers, and our victory will be at hand. Terror is the unknown. After the attack on the USJ led by the League of Villains, UA had upped their security immensely. They let all the students have a 3-day break so they can take a break from the travesty that happened, and so the teachers can prepare. The teachers also had a meeting discussing the events that happened to figure out the villains. So, as we know, a group of villains invaded the USJ facility that had Class 1A, 13, and Eraserhead. The villains that invaded were mostly cannon fodder except for 3, 2 of which escaped, Nisa stated. Those bastards. Trying to kill innocent children just to get to one man, Glide King grumbled. Hey, don't forget this is All Might we're talking about. Do you know how many villains would give up anything to kill him? President Mike shouted. Mike is right. All Might is the symbol of peace, and the villain's goal was to obviously kill him, Midnight stated. All Might in his weak form looked down in shame when hearing this. Hearing that all these students as well as his comrades could have been killed just to get to him weighed down his heart. Now on to the villains. The first is Kurojiri. His quirk is Warp Gate, which seems to make most of his body a black fog that can cover his body. Any part of the fog can seem to open portals, and based on the fact he didn't rescue their captured allies and that they needed a schedule, we can assume that he needs an exact location of the place. Next is the supposed leader, Tamura Shigaraki. His quirk is Decay. From what Aizawa and the students gathered, anything he touches with all his fingers will start to fall apart and turn to dust. It also seems to make multiple hands grow out of his body. Then the last member who we've captured is Nomu. He seems to contain multiple strength quirks as well as shock absorption and super regeneration. From what the police have gathered, besides just having multiple quirks, it seems to not really have much of a mind. It doesn't seem to do anything unless commanded to by its superiors. They had also discovered separate strands of DNA in the entity, but haven't been able to pinpoint who any of them are from. Upon hearing all this information, All Might could barely contain his worry and anger. Could his arch-nemesis really be back? Could All for One have survived? The rest of the meeting went smoothly except for the confirmation death of 13. With them just discussing how to beef up security and therapy for the students. After was all said and done, everyone left except Nizu and All Might. So, do you really think it could be him? Nizu asked while looking at All Might. It has to be. There's no one else with such a quirk that can grant a person multiple quirks. The only way it could be someone else would be if he had a son, which is impossible. So it must be All for One. Meanwhile, we see the villains resting and licking their wounds. specifically Shigaraki, who was annoyed that he couldn't play his video games thanks to the bullet that went through his wrist. I have to say, after looking at the footage caught through Nomu's vision, our mission went even better than expected. I wasn't really planning to kill anyone, just send a message that we can get in. But it seems that Nomu was better than even I anticipated since 13 got killed. You two also did an exceptional job. Nowhere King finished while looking at the two. When will we be getting Shota and Hizashi on our side, my lord? Kurojairi inquired. Soon, Kurojairi. First we got to gather more people to our cause, ones who see that humanity can't be saved and like to evolve beyond that flesh. To be born anew in new flesh, blood, and DNA. Also cause we need your friends to see the problems with this world before they will be willing to join us. It takes time and patience, Kurojairi. As for you, Tamura, Nowhere King says while turning to Shigaraki, remember, you are the face of this organization. You have to seem convicted and have a goal people can reason with. It was fine to make yourself look like a psychopath that just wants to murder people at the USJ, but in front of ones that could be our allies you must actually show your belief. Otherwise this whole plan will fail. You are the most important piece for our mission to come closer to fruition. Yes, my lord. I will do this destiny set for me to perfection. By the time we are done, the filthy human race won't know what hit them and we will be free from this abomination of a society, Shigaraki stated. Then both Kurojairi, Shigaraki, and all the Nomus in the background said as they raised their fists. For the Nowhere Empire. Sports festival, more like Hell Festival. It is a day like any other. The sun was shining, the sky is clear, and the annual sports festival the UA hosts every year is underway. Many villains don't ever try to attack this place due to high security and the amount of heroes that show up, but that doesn't mean all villains don't. For in fact, our blue-haired Hanzi mastermind was thinking just that. Tamura Shigaraki so wanted to terrorize these weak-minded fools, but knew just rushing in was foolish. He wanted to use some of the Nomu and portal into the middle of the stage. He needed to decide though when exactly he should start, so turned to an old worn-out screen that said audio only on it. Master, what should I do? Attack during the finals, Tamura. They randomize the sports festival every year, but 99% of the time they use 1 versus 1 battles last. Enter in the middle of one of the more entertaining fights and tear the place apart. Though about your request for Nomu, I shall only give you one. Nowhere King answered back. But why? There's gonna be tons of heroes including Almight. If the other Nomu couldn't defeat him, what makes you think this one can? Tamura, I don't expect it to succeed. If you remember, the plan isn't to kill Almight. The plan is to cause distrust in the heroes so humanity is weakened and easier to destroy or join our cause. Plus, if we use not that many Nomu, they will think we have less than we actually do. Besides, this one will put a satisfactory fight. Understood, Master. Meanwhile at UA, the sport festival has commenced. We see Bakugo and Todoroki ahead of everyone else in an obstacle course going around the entire facility. They had to go past giant robots, chasms, and now a minefield. The two strongest of Class A are speeding ahead. Sure, there is the entire first-year students in this race, but none are as far. Get out of my way, icy hot, I'm winning this thing, Bakugo shouted. Save your opinions to yourself, loud mouth, Todoroki calmly said back. As he said that though, Bakugo blasted an explosion at the mines underneath the ice, causing a chain reaction and hitting Todoroki, even though the original hit was behind him. This caused Bakugo to quickly get ahead and win the first round. After that was through, it was on to the second round, which was a cavalry battle. The people left had to get into teams of 2-4 and wear headbands with the amount of points that they got depending on their place in the last challenge. Bakugo went with Kirishima, Siro, and Nina, while Todoroki had Momo, Ida, and Kaminari. Both teams went at each other basically straight away since Todoroki wanted to win to prove to his father that he can win without using his left side, and Bakugo cause he wants to just get as many points as possible, and they have the next highest. By the time the round ended, neither could get the other, and both teams won. So they all went to the final round, which, like Nowhere King predicted, it was 1 versus 1 battles. The first one was Bakugo versus a guy named Shinso. The man's quirk made him able to control people by having them answer a question of theirs. In theory, this would be great against Bakugo, seeing how easy he is to temper. Sadly, the user snaps out if they get so much as a bump on the shoulder, and Bakugo's explosions create shockwaves. So when Shinso did hypnotize him, the explosion Bakugo already launched immediately snapped him out of it, and he won the round by blasting the opposer out. The next was Todoroki vs. Zero, which again was very quick. Zero wrapped Todoroki up and tried to throw him out of the ring, but he then just rose a glacier of ice so big it stuck out of the entire stadium and made Zero unable to move. The rest of the battles were basically the same until the final, which was Bakugo and Todoroki fighting each other. "Okay, you piece of shit, you better not hold back against me and finally use that damn fire of yours," Bakugo shouted. But right before they could fight, a portal opened in the middle of the arena. When Aizawa saw this in the press box with President Mike, his eyes widened in fear. "Don't tell me I didn't think they'd attack again this soon," Aizawa thought as he quickly stood up and grabbed the microphone Mike was holding. "Everyone, evacuate the premises immediately, all heroes, stop whoever comes out of that portal." As he commanded that, a blast of fire shot out of the smoky rift, and when impacted with the wall it hit, caused it to explode. Then the thing that crawled out was a massive humanoid, with a crocodile-like head, purplish-gray skin, and his brain sticking out. Shigaraki came out right after, with Kurogiri appearing last. "Nomu, go kill all these puny heroes. Starting with these two children," Shigaraki commanded. The Nomu turned to look at Todoroki and Bakugo, then lunged at them. "Ha! Think you can beat me, die you bastard!" Bakugo shouted as he launched an explosion at the thing. But when the smoke cleared, it had no effect. Quirk, heat absorption. The user can absorb the power of any heat-based attack or danger, such as fire and explosions. Drawback: the user has a weaker body compared to the average human. Of course, cause it's a Nomu with many strength quirks, it bypasses this weakness. "Buck, my blasts have no effect on the thing. Guess I'll have to hit it and team up with the other heroes here, despite how much I hate working with people," Bakugo thought to himself. Just then a blast of fire came at the Nomu from the stands and covered the creature entirely. Out from the stands jumped Endeavor, the number 2 hero. He walked closer, expecting for the creature to be exterminated, but the fire then just got pulled into the monster's body. "I'm guessing cause either mine nor the explosion child's quirk didn't have any effect on you, you have some type of heat immunity quirk," Endeavor stated. "Midnight, use your quirk to put the thing to sleep. Kurogiri, teleport her out of the stadium. She won't be able to get back until after we're already done." Kurogiri nodded as he disappeared, then reappeared in front of Midnight. He wrapped around her and vanished. Meanwhile, the Nomu turned towards Endeavor and charged at him. The hero tried to punch the freak, but once his skin touched the being, it started to melt. Quirk, miasma skin. The user's skin is covered in a thick layer of miasma. Anyone that touches it, they get hurt the same way, similar to acid. Drawback: the user is in constant pain. Crap, and his physical body hurts when touched, Endeavor thought. The Nomu was about to breath fire at the number 2 hero, but then suddenly nothing came out. It turned to look at Aizawa, who, despite being wrapped up and unable to fight from how damaged he was at the USJ, was glaring at the thing and erasing its quirk. So, the mindless brute instantly started to charge at the injured hero. "Nomu, you may injure him, but don't kill him or the one next to him with the cockatoo hair," Shigaraki said quietly. The Nomu kept its charge but heard its master's wish. As it was getting closer, Mike inhaled and shouted at the thing. The large blast of sound slowed the thing down for a second, but then it just kept moving. The thing was dead set on its target, and it won't stop till it gets there. But it never made it, for when it was barely 10 feet from them, the recognizable words from the number 1 hero were heard. "Never fear, for I am here," Almight shouted as he punched the Nomu in the side of the jaw so hard that it launched into the wall of the stadium and caused a crater. But after hitting him, Almight flinched in pain. "Damn it, it hurt my hand when I hit him." Based on how Endeavor's hand looks, I'm guessing it has something to do with the creature's body. He thought as the skin and flesh on his hand was dripping like liquid. "All the other students have been evacuated, you two should go too," Cementos stated as he looked at Bakugo and Todoroki. No way, the thing is immune to fire attacks and obviously anyone who hits him with their body gets hurt themselves. I'll handle this, Todoroki said calmly as he summoned a huge pillar of ice and encased the Nomu, who just got up in it. There, see? As he was in the middle of talking, the thing just burst through the ice thanks to the miasma melting through the ice, and it charged right at Todoroki. Cementos put a wall of cement in between them, but the thing just punched right through it. Get away from the child, Kamui shouted as he swung in and wrapped the thing in roots. That didn't last long, however, for like the ice, the Nomu's skin just melted through the roots. Well, looks like someone tried to be a hero. Well, sorry to say, but you aren't a very good one, Shigaraki said as he was right behind Kamui in the stands. Watch out, Death Arms shouted as he threw a punch at Shigaraki. But the villain dodged and grabbed the pro's arm, causing it to disintegrate. Afterwards the Nomu appeared behind said hero and grabbed him by the shoulders. It looked down at him, opened its mouth, and blasted fire out of it till the hero melted. Ha 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 ha, that's what you get, stupid hero. Now Nomu, go kill Almight, Shigaraki commanded. Endeavor, shoot a blast of fire at the thing, Aizawa commanded. You saw, it has no effect. Just do it. Endeavor complied and shot a blast of fire at the monstrosity. Of course it had no effect, but then Aizawa used his quirk on it. Fire again. As the number 2 hero shot another blast, surprisingly the thing actually screamed in pain as it melted to ash. As I thought. Since the thing has multiple quirks, I can't erase all of them. Instead, it seems my quirk erases the last one that was used. He was about to use his fire breath before, hence why that one got erased. Shigaraki though just smiled as he commanded Kurogiri to warp them away. You will not escape, Shigaraki, All Might shouted as he charged at them. I don't think so, Kurogiri said as then saw blades launched out of his body and All Might had to slow down to dodge. Quirk, Saw Cannon. The user can shoot saws out of any part of his body like a cannon. Drawback: the user opens a hole in their body where the blade is shot from. Kurogiri, however, can shoot them out of the smoke parts of his body as well, meaning the drawback doesn't harm him. Kurogiri then covered Shigaraki and they both teleported away. The sports festival ended in disaster. Hosu is death. It has now been 1 week since the disaster at the sports festival. Currently the heroes were discussing what had happened and what to do next. So the members known as Tamura, Shigaraki, and Kurogiri, known as the League of Villains, attacked again. Except unlike the last time, we couldn't cover it up cause the attack was at the sports festival, which is broadcast across Japan. Nisa stated to the rest of the staff as well as Endeavor, Kamui, Woods, Hawks, and Best Jeanist, since 3 were high-profile heroes and Woods cause he was there during the attack. So you're telling me that these villains had attacked before and you didn't inform anyone about this? The citizens and the media is one thing, but not even the other heroes, Endeavor stated. I apologize for that. It was my call since some heroes can't keep their mouths shut. Again, that's the reason I only called you 4 here besides my staff. While I do agree it was stupid to not inform anyone about the last attack, I do see your point in not telling every hero. But now everyone, including the public, knows about them now, Best Jeanist mentioned. This arguing about it is pointless. Let's get back to the topic at hand, Aizawa stated calmly. Agreed. Like, who was that brain thing they had? The hand guy, Shigaraki called him a Nomu. Also, why were you fine with Endeavor killing it? Hawks asked. Yes, they had another Nomu in the last attack. As far as we've confirmed, the Nomu seems to be a bioengineered creation that can't think and possesses multiple quirks. We let Endeavor kill the thing since it's no longer human anyway. Also, based on the fact they've only used one for each battle and seem to be very powerful ones, if they have any more, they're most likely weak ones. Usually that would make sense, but they're trying to kill the symbol of peace. We all know no villain would underestimate him, Nisa said. Now, on to the internships. I feel that we should keep them around since it will help the students learn how to be heroes outside of just class and fighting with people they know the abilities of. Agreed. Besides, even if there are a few tough villains, the heroes will be able to protect them, All Might said. Okay, then it's decided. The internships will still commence. This meeting is dismissed. Meanwhile, with the League of Villains, we see Kurojiri teleporting someone into their base. The guy seemed to have lots of weapons, no nose, and was wearing a bandana. This was the hero killer Stain. So, why'd you bring me here? Stain asked as he stared at Shigaraki. Or better yet, what's your goal? To kill Almight, duh. That's seriously your ideology? Pathetic. Whatever you brought me here for, I ain't interested. Stain then charged at Shigaraki. Kurojiri was about to open a portal and get rid of the hero killer, but he quickly changed his trajectory and cut the teleporter with a knife, then licked the blood. This caused Kurojiri unable to move, making him unable to use his abilities. Stain proceeded to continue his charge at Shigaraki, and threw his knife. But before the blade could hit the disintegrator, for some reason it instantly fell down like it had been pushed. What? But before the hero killer could fully react, an immense pressure came down on him. This made him unable to move, and no matter how much he tried, couldn't get up. What? You really thought you could just hit me without a fight? Now who's the one that's pathetic? Quirk, gravity density. The user has the ability to change the gravity pressure of anything to the point it would make almost anyone unable to move. It can be broken, however, if the target has enough physical strength to power through it. Drawback: the user gets headaches if overused. Now let me fully answer the question you asked. You see, you asked my goal, not my ideology. I thought you meant my current mission. If I'm talking about my final goal, we have a very close one. But while you only want to kill heroes, we know the truth. Humanity can't be redeemed and they must all be erased. How is that a good justification? You'd have to kill yourself too. That's only if we still were human. When Shigaraki said that, Stain's eyes widened in surprise. You see, we have modified ourselves to have no human genetic code in us at all. The only thing we are, is quirks and something new. Now I know to you our goal seems like we're taking it too far. But to us, you're not taking it far enough. So how about, since for now our goals align with each other, we work together? Besides, even if you were able to get close enough to us to kill, you don't even know if we'd stay dead. You don't know what we can actually fully do. Damn, he's right. I have no idea what quirks they have and if they'd stay gone once I finish them. Then again, they'd be greatly used as a distraction when I'm out hunting fake heroes. Stain thought to himself. Fine, I'll work with your little league for now, but I'm not working under you. This is a joint partnership. That's fine by me. Kurojiri, teleport him back to where you found him. Kurojiri nodded as he did what he was told. Now we skip to later in the week where the last day of the internships are happening. Currently Stain and 3 of the interns are in Hosu City. The 3 students being Tenya Ida, who is after Stain for ending his brother Ingenium's hero career, Shoto Todoroki, who is with his father Endeavor, and Hitoshi Shiso, who will be transferring to the hero course so is training under Eraserhead. Stain is standing on a tall building when a portal appears behind him and Shigaraki steps out. What are you here for? Aw, don't be like that. We're partners now, and I thought it would be a great idea to send out some distractions for the heroes so you can go do your dirty work. Doesn't that sound fun? Shigaraki asked. Stain smiled insanely as he answered. It sure does. Go have your fun with them while I hunt my prey. With that, Stain leaped away and Shigaraki turned towards Kurojiri. Bring out the Nomus. Then he turned to look forward as 3 Nomus walked out. One was peach-colored with wings and a gas mask, one was gray with 4 eyes, and the last was black with no eyes or upper jaw. I'll tear you foolish heroes apart. You don't stand a chance. As the ruckus with the Nomus was going down, Stain had caught a hero named Native in an alleyway and licked his blood, paralyzing him. You false hero, you will be purged for your self-righteous acts and bring about a better world with your death. Stain lifted his blade and was about to stab it into the hero's skull when suddenly someone tried to kick him. He moved out of the way just in time, however, since he heard the person coming. Then he backhanded the person in what looks to be white armor in the face, causing the assailant to fall over and his helmet to fall off. What are you doing, kid, and why are you in a stupid metal suit? I am Tenya Ida, the younger brother of the hero Ingenium who you have damaged beyond healing. He can no longer be a hero cause of you, for that I will defeat you, that I promise, Ida stated as he stood up. Ha, like you can even come close. And don't think I don't recognize the look in those eyes, you aren't fit to be a hero, let alone one in training. I'll kill you as well no matter what age you are. With that finished, Stain quickly dashed right in front of Ida. This caught the young hero off guard and he tried to swing a roundhouse kick at the killer's head. But it was only a diversion, for once the young lad made the move, Stain ducked under and slashed his other leg with a knife. Stain then zoomed right underneath Ida and licked the blood off of his blade, which made the young child fall and be unable to move. I'll admit you are brave to try and face me. But you're driven by anger, which makes you foolish. Let your death be for a better world. Stain finished as he lifted the sword above Ida's head and was about to strike down. Just then, though, a weird gray scarf wrapped around the blade and pulled it from his hands. Stain turned around to see Shinso. So you're the famous hero killer? The villain didn't answer as he threw a knife at Shinso and cut his cheek. Then he rushed over to the purple-haired student and tried to lick the cut on his face. Luckily, he dodged out of the way in time. Silly kid, Shigaraki has had an interest in you, so told me all about your little quirk before this. Crap, he mentioned Shigaraki. That means he's with the League and he knows about my quirk. Buck, Shinso thought to himself. Just then they heard an explosion and saw smoke rising a good distance from here. Oh, looks like they're doing some damage. Meanwhile, we see Eraserhead, who is dealing with the Nomu that has 4 eyes. Damn it, these things have a lot of physical strength without quirks. I can deal with this one probably, but based on the damage farther ahead, it's probably unlikely. Eraserhead thought as he wrapped his capture weapon around the Nomu's neck and kicked it in the face, causing it to stagger. The creature turned to him and was about to attack when a blast of fire launched at it, covering it in flames. The person who blasted the Nomu was none other than Endeavor. The creature, though, just started to shake and the flames blasted out of its body back at them. Erasure jumped out of the way while Endeavor just waved it away. I see one of your quirks is absorption and release. But my flames seem to have done some damage. The Nomu started to shake as its entire upper body's muscles expanded, and it jumped into the air, causing the ground under it to shatter from the force. The thing then opened its mouth and a bunch of tendril tongues came out of it. Before it could hit Endeavor, though, Erasure wrapped his scarf around the thing's appendages and slammed it back into the ground. He then slammed his weight onto the thing's head, knocking it out. Good job. Now I heard you came with an intern. You go find him. I'll take care of any other Nomu here. Eraserhead nodded as he ran off. With that out of the way, Endeavor went to find the other foes. He kept running towards the smoke that was in the middle of the city when he saw the giant eyeless Nomu fighting and killing a couple heroes. Endeavor lit his fist aflame and started to charge at the thing. But right as he was about to hit, it bent backwards, dodging the attack, then did a flip to gain some distance from the hero. The monster seemed to be observing Endeavor when the creature's fists got covered in purple lightning. Oh, this will be fun, Endeavor thought. And so commenced the battles between Endeavor versus the eyeless Nomu, and elsewhere Eraserhead, and Shinso versus the hero killer Stain. City of Pain. Endeavor and the Nomu were staring straight at each other, well as good as the Nomu can do with no eyes. The monstrosity had what looked like purple lightning flowing around its hands, while the hero had flames flowing around his. Endeavor charged at the beast and threw a punch at the beast's head, but the thing moved its head to the side, dodging it, and threw an uppercut at the hero. Endeavor used his other hand to catch it, and then throw the Nomu. Based on the fact you were able to dodge my attacks even though you have no eyes, I'm guessing you have some sort of sense quirk. Quirk, blind sight. The user has the ability to sense anything in a 100-foot radius of themselves in full detail. Drawback: the user loses the ability to see. The Nomu stood back up and charged at the hero. Endeavor ducked under the fist swung at him and tried to do a hook to the monster's body. But the thing had caught his hand and then ignited it in the purple substance, which started to burn the hero a bit, but not much since he has resistance to heat due to his quirk. The thing then punched Endeavor in the jaw. Quirk, plasma fist. The user has the ability to create plasma around their hands at enough heat to give any normal person third-degree burns. Drawback: if overused, makes the user's hands numb for a couple hours. The Nomu then jumped back when Endeavor tried to slice it with a whip of flame. Endeavor quickly then threw a ball of flame at the thing's head. But before it hit, a ball of acid came out of nowhere and counteracted. Another one? Endeavor thought as he looked and saw another Nomu with wings there. The thing charged at Endeavor and tried to swipe at him with its claws. The hero moved out of the way, but the Nomu changed the trajectory of its bottom half to cut the pro's cheek with one of its talons. The thing circled around and dived at the hero again. This time, however, he was ready and caught the beast's wings with his hands. What he wasn't expecting, however, was for the creature's wings to detach from its body. The beast slid between Endeavor's legs, then regrew its wings instantaneously and flew back into the air. The Nomu turned and spit an acid ball out of its gas mask mouth at the hero. Quirk: appendage removal. The user has the ability to detach any appendage they have and regrow them. Drawback: the faster the user chooses to regrow the lost limbs, the more stamina is consumed. Quirk: acid spit. The user can shoot balls of acid out of their mouth. Drawback: none. Endeavor though dodged the blast, and it hit the other Nomu instead. The acid burned through the blind Nomu's arm, but it quickly regenerated. Damn, so the other one has a regeneration quirk as well. This will be a hard fight, Endeavor thought. He didn't have that much time to think, however, for the flying one came charging at him. The number 2 hero dodged as the thing tried to slash him again, but then the monster quickly flew back and the other Nomu punched Endeavor right in the face. The hit launched the hero back, but he quickly recovered and used fire coming from his back to propulsion himself into the blind monstrosity, and grabbed the sides of its head. You may be tough, but burnt cells can't regenerate. You're dust, Endeavor exclaimed as he focused so much flames onto a single spot it became like a giant blowtorch. The fire he released turned to a bright blue, and when he finally stopped, the Nomu's head was completely gone, and it fell over, dead. Endeavor didn't waste any time and blasted into the air and grabbed the winged Nomu by the neck. He then slammed it to the ground and landed on top of the monstrosity. Before the thing could react, the flaming hero then fired a burst of flame into the monster's nape to the point its head came clean off. Well, I took care of the Nomus. I would have preferred for Shoto to be watching me, but it's better that he went to help with evacuating civilians, Endeavor thought to himself. Meanwhile, the fight between Shinso and Stain continues. Our resident purple-haired insomniac dodged out of the way from a knife thrown at him and ran up to the hero killer. He did a false punch to make the villain jump backwards as a way to dodge, but then wrapped his neck with the capture scarf, pulled him close, and kneed the criminal's jaw. Stain was fast, however, and flipped himself over and kicked Shinso in the back of his head with the heel of the hero killer's boot. Afterward, the killer brought out his sword and swiped at the brainwasher. He couldn't dodge completely in time and got cut in the back of his hand. You're good, kid, but not good enough, Stain said as he licked the blood off the blade. Yet after he did that, Shinso just turned and got back into a fighting stance. Wait, how are you still moving? Stain quickly dodged out of the way from another capture scarf that launched behind him when he heard footsteps. And out of the shadows came Eraserhead, glaring at the hero killer with his quirk activated. I see my students found you, hero killer. While I do disapprove of them fighting you, I'll discipline them later, Eraserhead stated as he ran up to Stain and swung a hook fist, but he just missed as the villain bent backwards and then kicked the pro's arm. The fronts of Stain's shoes were pointed, so the kick stabbed into Eraserhead's arm. The villain didn't give the hero any time to take a break, however, as he used his other foot to step on the hero's shoulder and then leap off. This caused the spike to drag through and leave a big cut going up in Eraserhead's arm. Stain had landed on a wall and instantly pushed himself off and pulled his katana out, going straight for the hero's throat. Eraserhead turned and ducked before the blow could hit him. He then grabbed Stain's wrist and flipped him over. The hero killer got slammed on his back, and before he could do anything, Shinso jumped in and kicked the villain in the face, breaking one of his cheekbones. Then Eraserhead wrapped Stain completely with his capture scarf and then slammed the villain onto his head, knocking him out. Okay, let's get this villain to the police, Eraserhead stated. Then he turned to Ida and Shinso and shouted, What the hell were you idiots thinking, Ida? You were nowhere near ready to face him. I don't want to hear the excuse that your emotions got the best of you. And why didn't you inform me before rushing off Shinso God? You two are stupid. As Erasure had finished yelling, Ida was able to move, so he told the speedster to carry the other wounded hero while they got out of the alley. Once out, they saw Endeavor as he had come over. I came to look around for any others as soon as I finished off with the Nomu. I see you caught the hero killer. That's good, and Nisa was correct, those monsters were weaker than the other two that we've seen so far, Endeavor said. As they were chatting, they didn't realize what was stirring in the underworld. For the League of Villains had spread a video that they had taken of Stain preaching his ideology along with another preaching their own. That way people would come for either cause and they'd get more members. The danger the heroes will face was just starting. Rise of Hatred. In the headquarters of the League of Villains, we see Shigaraki and Kurojiru relaxing as they wait for the new recruits that were apparently stopping by due to a broker they met named Jiren. From what they heard, he is bringing 2 today and another tomorrow. He mentioned he'll bring more if he finds them as well. Master, Shigaraki stated as he turned to the television that said audio only. Why don't you meet the recruits yourself? I'm sure it would be easier and better if you explained our mission. Tamura, there are a few reasons why I will not. The main 2 are the fact that some could be coming for Stain's cause, not ours. The other is cause you will be the face of this organization. You are the one who will be in command when I am not around. You are the symbol of a new change. For that, you must be the one to persuade these new recruits to our cause. Nowhere King stated through the television. I see your point, Master, and I'll do my best. That is all I ask. Now while you do that, I have a possible recruit I'm gonna get myself, since there is no way he'd be able to meet us here. And with that, the television shut off. Well, Kurojiru, I guess we better get ready. After all, we don't want to seem improper when they arrive. And with that, they begin to sweep up the place. Meanwhile, far away we see Tartarus Prison. Inside were the most vile of all villains, including one that is in death row. This villain is a cannibal by the name of Moonfish. Flesh, need it. So hungry, Moonfish whispers to himself as he scratches stick figures onto the walls with his sharp teeth. Suddenly a guppy portal swirls into existence in the flesh-devouring Meta's cage. You have had a hard life, Moonfish. The voice of Nowhere King echoes through the portal. People have treated you like a freak and an outcast due to the drawback of your quirk being the need to eat raw flesh, be it human or otherwise. I can give you all that and more. You will not be treated as a monster, you will be treated as family. We want to get rid of this pesky sickness known as humanity, and we want you to join us. So what do you say? Can be free? Can be family? We'll come for hungry. Don't want be outcast. Moonfish responds, currently starving too much to be thinking that clearly. He walks towards the slimy vortex and falls straight in. The portal then shuts, leaving not a trace of how the villain could have escaped. Back to the bar at which the other 2 members reside, we see Jiren enter with 2 other individuals. One looks to be a high school girl with blonde hair and fangs. The other is a black-haired man with charred skin in certain places that is being attached to the rest of him through staples. Wheel, here they are. I'll leave you all to introductions since I've already done what I got paid for, Jiren stated as he left the premises. So, you're the 2 Jiren brought. Before you both introduce yourselves, let me express our ideals. This way we can learn if you'd actually like to join. So I'm Tamura Shigaraki, and this here is Kurojiru. We had worked with the hero killer Stain for a time due to both of us having similar ideas. The difference being the distance we're both willing to go in our ideals. Stain only sees that heroes are corrupted when in fact it's the full government. It's probably even beyond them, since thanks to those bastards in power, the entire race is tainted. We have evolved ourselves beyond our human ties, becoming a new race. We want to make us able to be free and do whatever we want. If you do decide to join, I can't make you evolve yet because our benefactor is the one who helps. So, now you may introduce yourselves and convey your answer. Well, hi, I'm Toga. I love the idea of being able to do anything I want, especially sucking your blood. So sure, I'll join this little crew. I'm Dobby, well at least that's what I go by. And yeah, I agree with Crazy. I'll be with your team. Excellent, Kurojiri will get you set up and show you to your rooms. I'm gonna go recruit another person I've been interested in. Shigaraki then put on a hood to cover himself and walked out. He went to a secret underground ring that housed an audience of villains. Shigaraki, however, went into the area where all the fighters rest and found a very tall, buff man with long, red hair. You're Kendo Rappa, right? The man addressed turned to look at the Hanzi villain. And judging by your looks, you're Tamura Shigaraki. What do you want from a warrior like me? I've seen your work here and interested in your skills. I was wondering if you would like to join our cause. You wouldn't be some underling, you'd be treated like everyone else in the group. With respect. How about this? I'll fight you for it. If you win, I'll join your group, but if I win, I get a few of those Nomu things to play around with. Deal. With that, both contestants got into the ring on either side and took a fighting position. When the buzzer went off, they both charged in an instant. When Rappa was close, he began to throw a flurry of punches, but Tamura just ducked to the side off them and ran. When he was right next to the bullet puncher, he reached out his arm and in one fell swoop, it was all over. He had touched the guy's stomach with all 5 fingers and just swiped through as his upper half turned to dust. The audience were in shock since no one had ever beaten Rappa before, let alone that fast. With his mission done, Tamura dragged the rest of Rappa away to a secluded alley and got to work. Tamura had placed his hand on the remains, and they started to repair and regrow everything. Quirk, cell manipulation. The user has the ability to manipulate the cells of anyone they touch, making them unable to heal, or increase their cells to be able to basically have super regeneration. Drawback: can only be used through physical contact, and the user can't do it on themselves. Rappa gasped as he came back to life. You see that? That's the power that my master has granted me. Join us, and you can get even stronger. Obviously, you'll have to prove your worth first. Welcome to the team. Good to be here. I'll definitely be challenging you to a rematch, though. I'm looking forward to it. The Great Outdoors. In the lair of the Nowhere King, we see him watching Tamura and the others through the old television as he thinks of what to do next. All he had told Tamura to do was attack the training camp that he discovered the heroes were sending their students in order to hone their skills. He wasn't really impressed with most of those disease-ridden vermin anyway. As he was thinking that, however, he heard a high-pitched voice in the back of his head say, "Except for Kaken." He'd been hearing this small piece of his mind for weeks now. It was basically the last bit of sanity he had left, or at least a bit when he was a kid. It's what made him still interested in the Bakuga bastard still, no matter how much of an asshole he was. It seemed Tamura had the same idea, however, since he could see that his protege was telling the other villains that their goal was to kidnap Bakuga. It was a smart move on their part. Even if they couldn't convince Kaken to join them, no doubt the world at large would react badly to one of the children guarded by these so-called heroes getting captured. And we would get to see Kaken again, and be with him like old times. Shut up, that brat ruined our old times when he became an egotistical jackass. Meanwhile, we see Tamura fully discussing the plan with his comrades. Remember, don't attack till they are about halfway through their week-long trip. This way they don't expect for us to be attacking. Mr. Compress will be the one to capture the Bakuga kid if he gets deeper into the forest. Otherwise it's any of the others that are adventuring out besides Spinner and Magna, cause they are gonna distract the pro heroes. Got it? The members nodded as they understood their objective. They then all began to rest or get sent out through Kurojiri to observe the camp area before the attack. So far as well, none of the group except the original 2 have met Nowhere King. All they know is about a mysterious benefactor who will give them more power once they prove their worth and devotion to the cause. And so, after the 3rd day of the training camp for the fledgling heroes, the villains struck. The heroes in training were out in the forest. Both hero classes happened to be at this camp, and the teachers thought it would be a great idea to see which class could scare the other the most as a way to relax. While the people who had failed the exam before this, however, stayed in the lodge for extra work. Little did they know, splitting the students up just made it way easier for the villains. There were 6 pro heroes on site, 4 of which being part of a team called the Wild Hussy Cats. Currently they are also taking care of a 5-year-old named Kota Izumi. He is the nephew of one of the members named Mandalay. Besides the group are also the two classes' homeroom teachers, Eraserhead and Lad King. Currently we see Kota up in the mountains hiding in a little cave he uses as his secret hideout when he hears something land outside. Startled, he quickly goes to check it out, and he sees a tall, buff man wearing a bird mask and has red wavy hair. "Screams you're not part of the people that came here," Kota says, scared. "You got that right, kid. Just go back to your little spot. I ain't interested in fighting kids. Well, at least one's not old enough to really fight back anyway. See ya," Rappa states as he then jumps off the mountain. Meanwhile, two of the four hussy cats are fighting two villains. One is a humanoid lizard with a giant weapon made of blades named Spinner. The other is a person wearing sunglasses, jeans, and holding a giant magnet weapon named Magna. The heroes they are fighting are Mandalay and Tiger. The other two hussy cats are knocked unconscious. "How dare you villains come to attack children? How did you find this place?" Tiger shouts as he and Magna's fists clash. "Wouldn't you like to know, you dumb hero?" Spinner shouts as he tries to hit Tiger, but then Mandalay deflects the attack by kicking the side of the giant blade. In the forest, at least half of the students are knocked out or hiding due to part of the forest being filled with mustard gas and another part being covered in blue flames. The users behind this being Dobby and Mustard, each in their designated area in order to not affect the other. Then, with any students that are out of the two area damage users' reach, the rest of the villains pick off as they search for the Bakuga kid. Back in his lair, we see Nowhere King watching through a one-way window in the fabric of reality due to a quirk he has called astral projection. He can make his consciousness go out of his body and watch things by going wherever he wills it to. He is observing as Eraserhead destroys the clone of Dobby that was made by Twice in order to raid whoever would be in Lodge. He knows the plan and is wondering who they would send next. They are planning to send one more clone of a different member in order to keep the pros confused. Dobby attacking also makes Eraserhead go venture out for at least a few moments to check on the other heroes and give permission for the students to use their quirks. "So, what are you even gonna do to make Eraserhead and Present Mike join us? You know how devoted they are to heroism," the voice in Nowhere King's head asks. "Well, the route I'd prefer to take is just use Kurogiri to convince them to join. If not, however, I can always just give ourselves a mind control quirk and make them submit. Now be quiet, the show is just starting." In the lodge, we see around 6 students in a classroom with Vlad King. The students being Hanta Siro, Eijiro Kurishima, Mina Ashido, Denki Kaminari, Nito Minoma, and Rikido Sato. As they are waiting for Aizawa to return, they hear footsteps and see a shadow approaching the door. As the students begin to feel a bit relieved that the other teacher has returned, Vlad realizes that the shadow is too big. "All of you stay back," he shouts as the door gets kicked off its hinges and launched at him. The hero dodges out of the way, but then in an instant, Rappa appears right in front of the pro. "Crap, he's fast," the hero thinks as he creates a shield out of his blood that then crystallizes. But Rappa just sends a flurry of punches and breaks through it. Kirishima rushes in to try and defend the teacher by hardening his skin, but the villain just punches him so hard he blasts into Vlad and they both break through the wall behind them. "Ha, that's the best you got, pathetic. Well, let's finish this," Rappa states as he jumps at them with his fist swung back. But as he's about to hit them, Eraserhead shows up and cancels the criminal's quirk as Vlad pulls up another shield. He then manipulates the blood to wrap around Rappa and then turns solid. "Do you really think you villains will succeed in this mission with so many heroes in training and 6 pros?" Eraserhead asks in an uninterested tone. "Haha. It don't matter whether we succeed or not. Do you really think the public will approve of kids getting injured or villains able to get into a secret location? Or how about one of your precious students getting kidnapped and turned to villainy? We'll win no matter what happens." Rappa's voice keeps getting deeper as he melts into goop. And with that, the dread finally sets into the heroes' hearts, as they realize what the villains are after. The great outdoors too. In the forest, we see a young girl with orange hair dragging a classmate that has what looks to be a bubble for a head. The girl's name is Itsuka Kendo, the class representative of 1B. She is trying to hold her breath as the purple gas is flowing through the area, and if she breathes in too much, will faint like her ally. She can't really do that much though, cause her speed is greatly reduced due to carrying the fellow student and her decreasing oxygen. Just then though, another student with gray hair named Tetsu runs in wearing a gas mask and carrying other. Kendo, here Momo from the other class made these and gave me some for if I find others. Tetsu shouts. Thanks Tetsu, good thing she made these in time. Kendo states as she puts the mask on and puts one on her unconscious classmate. Now, let's get going deeper into the fog. It's obvious that this gas doesn't affect the entire forest since Mandalay never mentioned it when she gave permission for us to use our quirks, which means a quirk is probably involved. And look, the fog is getting thicker and accumulating that way. Right, which means I just have to barge in there and punch whoever is behind this. Tetsu then just started running forward without planning at all. And in the middle of the fog we see someone wearing an old army gas mask and a junior high uniform. He seemed to be talking to himself while looking around. It seems there are 5 people at the edge of the zone, and 2 people coming this way. I give them props for finding me, but really just charging in is foolish. After all, unlike what we will be, they're only human. Mustard finishes his statement as he pulls out a pistol and fires into the fog, hitting Tetsu in the face. The hero in training luckily turned his body to steel in time so it didn't kill him, though it did break the gas mask he was using so it made him have to hold his breath. Haha, that's what you get, hero. And I thought you were supposed to be smart. The villain mocks as he pokes his head. And no more surprises. He then fires a bullet in the direction Kendo is when Tetsu jumps in the way to block the bullet, but it cracks his skin in the process. Mustard keeps firing rounds at him, making his body crack more and more. Keep standing there, pathetic hero. Sooner or later one will finally pierce through your body and it will be over. Oh, it seems the other's coming at me from behind. Mustard dodged out of the way as Kendo tried to punch him. Ha, you really thought that would hit me? Don't you know anything? I can sense where you are. It doesn't matter where you know we are. Just then her hand expands in size, hitting Mustard in the side of his head. She then turns her other big as well and starts waving them around, causing the gas to fluctuate. What are you doing? You really think just waving your hands around will do anything? Wait, she's disrupting my gas, causing me to not know the exact location of others. That means... As Mustard is turning, Tetsu runs in and punches the villain in the face, breaking his mask. If a gas user has a mask to block the produced component, it means they are susceptible to it as well. Tetsu breathes out as the gas vanishes due to Mustard being unconscious. As they are relaxing though, Kendo sees something coming. Tetsu, she shouts as the metal user turns around to see Rappa charging at him. As he's about to try and hit the villain, he gets punched in the face and slammed to the ground, instantly knocking him out. Rappa then rushes over and punches Kendo in the stomach, knocking her out as well. Sorry kids, usually I would take the time to kill you, but you two were already injured too much to fight, there would be no point. Plus, I'm a team player now. My top priority is my comrade. Rappa then picks up Mustard and jumps away. Meanwhile we see Bakugo and Todoroki dodging out of the way from lots of blades. We see the weapons are coming from the mouth of Moonfish. We'll feed, but won't kill blonde one. Need him for Shigaraki. We'll slaughter other though, hopefully tasty as multi-armed one. Crap, that means Shoji was hurt or worse. Bakugo, you stay back, he's obviously after you and your explosions might just light up the trees. But as Todoroki turns around he sees Bakugo gone. His eyes widen in surprise and he sees in a tree behind Moonfish someone else in a tailcoat, top hat, and a creepy white mask with a smiley face on it. Sorry young one, but we want to show this child that he has other choices besides heroism, so he's coming with us. Moonfish, time to go. Still hungry, but fine. Mission done, call to leave. You won't get away with him. Todoroki then shoots a giant ice glacier at the top hat villain, but Moonfish shoots his teeth and breaks it immediately. Moonfish then afterward fires his teeth at him in many directions, causing the hero in training to focus on defense and dodging. The villains then run away as the showman villain turns Moonfish into a marble and starts leaping away from tree to tree. But as he's going, 3 hero students launch at him from seemingly nowhere. The 3 being Shoji, Shinso, and Tokoemi. A giant shadow claw comes out of the last one listed and hits the villain when he's in the air. As he hit the ground, however, Dabi picked him up. You okay there, Compress? No matter. Toga, Twice, take care of them. The villains nod as Toga throws a few knives at the heroes in the air, but dark shadow coming from Tokoemi blocked them. But when Dabi fired a blast of blue flames, the shadow beast cowered from being weakened due to the light. Damn it, we need to take them out and get Bakugo since we saw him get taken. Shiso exclaims as he tries to throw his capture scarf at Twice, but he blocks it with the metal ruler coming out of his wristbands. While this was happening, Shoji charged at Compress and tackled him. The villain though kicked the student in the face, then flipped into the air, escaping. Then Shoji backs away. Come on, let's go. I got Bakugo from the villain's pocket, Shoji states as he shows the marble in his hand, and the three then get farther from all the villains. Just then Kurojiri appears out of nowhere. I believe this was the time we planned to leave. Let's go everyone, the others have already been picked up, the smoke villain states as he opens multiple portals in front of the villains. Wait, we need to get that child back, Dabi says, but Compress stops them. I just wanted the heroes to gloat, they just grabbed ice. He then snaps his fingers and the marble in Shoji's hand turns into an ice chunk. You see, if I flaunt something, it's usually cause there's something else to hide. The villain takes his mask off and opens his mouth, revealing 2 marbles on his tongue. He then throws one and releases it, causing Moonfish to pop out. Smell foe hiding. We'll strike before they do. The villain then shoots his teeth into a bush, causing the hiding student Aoyama to be pierced in both arms and legs, and he screams in pain. Well, aren't you a freak of nature? Shiso taunts at the villain, and as he's about to yell at the child that dares call him that, Dabi covers his mouth. Don't answer. The kid can control you if you do. Let's just go now, bye-bye heroes. The rest of the villains all walk through the portals and they close, leaving 4 injured students, failing their mission to save one of their own, and a blue fire burning the forest behind them through the midnight sky. Nowhere to hide. When Bakugo woke up, he noticed that his hands seemed to be in what looked to be a metal contraption in order for him not to be able to use his explosions. He looked around and saw 11 people in the room. The members seen being Rappa, Dabi, Toga, Twice, Spinner, Magna, Compress, Mustard, Moonfish, Kurojiri, and Shigaraki. Speaking of, the last one mentioned walked up to the boy and bent down to his level. Hey kid, wanna join the League of Villains? Huh? What the buck did you say, bastard? I asked if you wanna join our group. You see, we know what kind of mindset you have and my master is very interested in you, so why not let out your explosive tendencies? You won't have to hold back any longer if you're a villain. Why would I be a stupid loser villain? I'm gonna be the best hero in the world, even better than Almight. Wow, he sure is a snobby one. Are you sure we want him amongst us? Compress asks as he waves his hand in front of his face, as if he can smell the Pomeranian off of Bakugo. We don't judge people based on personality or looks, Compress. We judge them based on their actions and beliefs, Shigaraki states calmly as he looks at the rest from the corner of his eye. Speaking of, where's this master of yours anyway? Our supposed benefactor. 'Cause it seems the only people who have met him are you and Warp Hick. You might even be lying, Dabi states as he walks up to Shigaraki. But as he's about to push farther, someone from far in the back interrupts. I've seen him, Moonfish said as he was munching on human flesh. I don't want to hear it. Tell me, Twice 2 personalities said one after the other. He came when no one else would. He offered home, acceptance, and food. He like God on mortal plane. None can stand up to him, and any who do shall fall. When Moonfish said that last sentence, Bakugo felt a shiver go up his spine. For once, he was actually scared of a villain, and he hasn't even met the guy yet. But if this sadistic cannibal gave this man such praise to be considered a god, then he's dangerous. Meanwhile, we see Nowhere King hiding in his throne room as 2 Nomus walk into his quarters. So is it done? The Nomus nod. Show me. The creatures open the door as a bigger one walks in, wearing a tattered hood on its head and its spine is sticking out. Ah, excellent. It's good enough for now. Start mass production. You may leave now. The Nomu start walking away, but the doors automatically close when one is still inside. No, you stay here, Nowhere King states as he starts crawling towards the beast. He then stops after around 10 feet from the monster, and has his bottom jaw detached from the rest of his skull, stretching down so far that his mouth is enormous. He then shoots 2 tentacles at the Nomu, wrapping around it then shoving it in his mouth. The only sounds are the shrieks it's making and the sloshing of it squirming in the villain's body. Soon the sounds ceased as the Nomu was dissolved in the Nowhere King's body. Delicious. Now I should get ready to save Tamura, as it seems his plan wasn't as foolproof as he thought. I can see those fake heroes gathering there, and there's more at the warehouse. I'll deal with those ones first. Now back to the bar, we see Shigaraki commanding Compress to unlock the thing cuffing Bakugu's hands, as he sees they need to treat him as one of their own for Bakugu to join. But as the theatrical villain unlocks the restraints, he jumps and tries to blast him in the face. Moonfish, Shigaraki commands as the cannibal has one of his teeth launch and pierce through the explosive boy's wrist. Now look what you made us do. We didn't want to hurt you, but we will if we must. Now how about you sit down like a good little dog? Sadly, those stupid heroes don't believe you'll turn, but that's just cause they are idiots. Just then they hear a knock on the door and all the villains look at it questionably. Pizza delivery. Okay, who the hell ordered pizza? Spinner shouts. But as he finishes shouting that, the wall bursts down as Almight, Gran Torino, and Kamui Woods jump through. Have fear, villains, for we are here. Almight shouts and Kamui's branches wrap around all the villains, tying them up. Mustard, don't pull anything. Your quirk will damage us as well, and I can't use mine due to the branches going between all the fingers. Rappa, Dabi, and Moonfish take care of them, Shigaraki commands. Ha, you're using wood on a fire user, that's dumb, Dabi states as he starts to ignite his flames. But then Gran Torino zooms in and knocks him out by kicking the back of his head. Be quiet. It would be best if you cooperate with us. Ha, you think these puny roots will hold us? Rappa questions as he rips the branches, capturing him by just moving them out. He then charges at Kamui as Moonfish fires his teeth at All Might. But before the fangs reach him, something small slips in very fast and stabs through Moonfish and Kurogiri's bodies, knocking them out. It then forms into the hero edge shot. Then All Might charges and punches Rappa, knocking him out as well. What the hell happened? What did you do? Magna shouts as she stares at Edge Shot. I just put them to sleep before they could cause any problems. Good job, young Bakuga. I know you were probably afraid, but you put on a brave face and stood strong, All Might states as he puts his hand on Bakuga's shoulder. He then directs his attention to Shigaraki. You underestimated all of us. The police who worked all night to find you, this young man, and our righteous fury. Now, where is your master hiding? I'll never tell. You heroes and your false pretenses. This world took people like us and called us trash and infection. But we will transcend these bounds known as humanity. For you are the pestilence, not us. So no, cause even if I'm gone, my master will live on. Damn it, tell me where All for One is. All Might shouts as he grabs the branches around Shigaraki. Shigaraki just starts laughing. Oh, Master was right that you'd think that old geezer was the one in charge. News flash, you symbol of shit. All for One is dead. My master made sure of that. As All Might has a look of shock on his face and lets go of Shigaraki, a bunch of portals open up made of a black, goopy liquid. Out of the portal come many Nomu. Looks like you might meet Master after all. But for now, bye-bye hero, Shigaraki states as the black goo bursts out of all the villains' mouths and Bakugus, surrounding them and teleporting them all away. Tribute to the Nowhere King. Moments before the escape of the League of Villains, when the heroes attacked, we see another place that looks to be an old warehouse. There we see 4 students from UA hiding behind one of the outer walls looking into the facility. The students are Todoroki, Ida, Momo, and Kirishima. They had arrived to try and save their classmate Bakugu, not realizing that he was at another facility. However, they were too scared to go, and once they saw all the Nomu in hibernation. As they were petrified in fear though, the front of the building came tumbling down as the pro-hero Empty Lady kicked it down. Afterward, the other heroes, Gang Orca, Tiger, and Best Jeanist ran in and restrained all the Nomu. Surrounding the front were hundreds of police. All the Nomu have been neutralized. Now to make sure that there are no other matters to attend to, Best Jeanist stated. Why do we have to deal with these disgusting guys? Can't we help Almight at the other location? Empty Lady complained. It's better to stay here and make sure there are no other Nomu deeper in. Also in case any League members actually escape and run here. Gang Orca justifies. Just then they hear what sounds to be rushing liquid as something in the shadows hits the floor. You are correct in that front, Gang Orca. Of course, you aren't prepared for what you'll have to deal with. I was hoping for Tamura to be able to take care of himself, but you heroes got in the way. I guess I'll have to take care of you. Nowhere King explains as he crawls out of the darkness. The heroes can only stare in fear as they see the giant sludge monster and its empty skull sockets. The beast opens its mouth as a red glow comes from it, and suddenly a giant laser blast fires. The beam destroys the rest of that half of the building that was in front of the villain, and when the smoke cleared from the blast showed all but one of the heroes knocked out, and most of the police dead. Impressive, Best Jeanist. You manipulated the fabric of the other heroes to move yourself and them out of the way, making you not die. Sadly, not quick enough to save yourselves from damage and from having me free all these Nomu. Now to warp them away. Parts of Nowhere King's body open up into portals, and the Nomus start to walk through to the bar. He then also uses astral projection to see all the League members and Bakugu. He then has them spew out the same black liquid to specifically teleport them to his side. Quirk, liquefied warping. Description: the use can create portals out of any liquid and can teleport specific people with the liquid if the user can see them. Drawback: none except needing to be visible to the user. All the villains plus the loud-mouthed Pomeranian appeared in front of the Nowhere King and started coughing due to the gunk. When they saw the true leader, most either were afraid or intimidated by the hulking menace. Master, you're here, Tamura states as he bows to his ruler. Oh Tamura, don't bow. You are my successor, so you are at an equal footing to me. This is why you make most of the decisions, including grabbing this boy since he is an important piece to your game. Of course though, there are two pieces of yours that won't fully fit well with us. So I'll have to remove them. Just then Nowhere King shoots a tendril that morphs into a blade and slices Magna and Spinner's heads off in a heartbeat. The speed of which scared the crap out of the awake villains, and made them think they were next. Quirk, weapon transformation. Description: user has the ability to transform any part of their body into an close-range weapon. Drawback: causes the user pain as their bones and muscles shift. I apologize for that, as those two would have betrayed us in the long run, so I had to remove them. Nowhere King exclaimed. Ah, there you are. Nowhere King moves out of the way as Almight zooms in and tries to punch the villain. You're the head of the League, are you not? How are you able to create beings with multiple quirks? Almight shouted. Why would I tell you that symbol of pestilence? Also, I'm surprised it took you this long to get here as the bar is only 5 kilometers away. You've obviously gotten weaker. Be quiet, you damn villain, and return young Bakuga at once. Almight then punched Nowhere King in the stomach, but all it did was get his hand stuck as the beast leaned its face in front of the hero and blasted another giant beam. The force launched Almight through multiple buildings, destroying them and wiping out the whole block. Pyro Breath, Accuracy Enhancement, Speed Booster X4, Size Enhancement, and Heat Impact. Such a delightful combination of quirks, but maybe we'll use a few more size enhancers next time. Now come on, Almight, I expected more from you. Now Tamura, I'll warp you and the others away. Before Nowhere King can do this, however, Almight rushes back in. This causes him to be focused on the hero instead and not able to warp the League away. Well, it looks like Master is distracted for now. Compress, grab our knocked out member, then let's catch this kid, Tamura orders. Ha, you think you losers can get me? Well, I got news for ya, Bakuga shouted. Damn it, I got to figure out some way to get out of here. These guys are willing to drag me by force this time, and I'm holding Almight back while being here. As Bakuga thought this, Compress started charging at him, and he used an explosions to flip over the villain to not be touched. He also dodged a knife thrown at him, but then noticed the gun in Mustard's hands. Crap, I won't be able to dodge that in time. Think how to get out of this. Young Bakuga, I'm coming for you. All Might shouts. I don't think so, hero. Nowhere King quietly states as a tendril wraps around the hero's leg. 'Cause I am here. And throws the pro behind him through a couple more buildings. Back to villains. As the gun was about to fire at Bakugo, Ida zoomed in with Kirishima and had the red head grab onto Bakugo. Then Todoroki created a giant glacier which the heroes in training blasted off of with Ida and the explosive blonde's powers in order to be high in the air. No, you can't get away. Nowhere King muttered as he heard the childish voice in his head complaining how Kaken was leaving them. He's mine! The monstrous villain launched lots of tendrils at the students, but they were incinerated by the pro-hero Endeavor as he arrived. Not so fast, villain! All Might shouts as he tries to punch Nowhere King, but he just faces the hero and shoots another giant fire beam. After the beam is over, All Might is shown to be wounded and coughing blood as Gran Torino zooms in. I see I made it here late. So this is the abomination behind this. I was expecting All for One, but based on how this thing looks, it was probably one of his creations and it betrayed him. I'll take care of the other villains since you don't need to hold back anymore. Damn it, it seems I'll need to send Tamura and his allies away now. Nowhere King states as he focuses his sight on the whole league as they barf out the same black liquid and teleport away. But you are right, All Might, no more holding back. The massive villain then opens his mouth and fires another blast. As All Might is about to dodge though, he sees a civilian stuck in the rubble of one of the buildings behind the blast, so stays in the way. The force hits him and drains the energy from him, making him turn into his weak state. Of course though he can't give up, so puts all the power he can into one arm. Oh, still some fight left, fine, I'll oblige you. As Nowhere King charges however to rip right through the hero, the small childish part of his consciousness told him how the pro was his favorite hero. This caused him to hesitate, which gave All Might enough time. The hero charged in and with a single punch straight at the head. United States of Smash. The blow hit the Nowhere King's skull and completely shattered it to pieces. The blobby body fell to the floor unmoving. With the fight seemingly over, All Might transformed to his full hero form and rose his fist in the air like a victory pose. While this is happening, we see inside the Nowhere King's mind a void of darkness surrounding Izuku before he became this monstrosity. Why do you hold us back? It's your fault that symbol of trash is not dead. The darkness echoes around him. He is our hero, our favorite hero. We wanted to be just like him when we grew up. Izuku shouted back as the other voice made a growling sound. He lost that right when he killed our mother. He took everything from us, and so did the rest of that filthy society. We were cast out, treated as less than nothing. Don't say he's a hero, he's a murderer. But it was an accident, and what you're doing is nothing short of a villain. What about Kaken? He wouldn't approve and he still cares for us. Get it through your head, Izuku. He never cared for us. That brat just cared for people with power, and even then considered himself higher than everyone else. You have nothing left to live for. So be at rest and let me stay in control, you pest. As the voice finished its line, the skull of the Nowhere King formed out of the black mass, so large that the Izuku can fit in his eye socket. The beast opens his mouth and snaps it shut around the small part of his sanity left, devouring it. Back out while in the mindscape felt like minutes, was only seconds in the real world. His skull reformed and he rose behind the hero. A part of him transformed into a giant spear with multiple blades coming out like a multi-trident. Tashinori, Gran Torino shouted, but by then it was too late. The spear launched through All Might, stabbing his stomach, arms, legs, and a lung. He was hanging on by a thread already as Nowhere King's legs wrapped around the hero and pushed him further. Goodbye, symbol of peace. Nowhere King drawled out as his jaw went around the hero's head and snapped shut, thus ending All Might. The aftermath. It has now been 1 week since the death of the symbol of peace, All Might. The villain responsible, who has still yet to be named, is nowhere to be found. Criminal activity has raised exponentially as heroes are working round the clock to stop them all. Citizens are in terror and afraid of the villain that could have beaten our number one hero. The country is in disarray and disaster. If things don't get better soon, then we will be overrun by villainy. the reporter on the television said. The villains were all huddled in a secret facility watching as the reporter talked about the hellscape that was now Japan. I can't believe it's only been a week and already the whole world is tearing itself apart. What a riot, Shigaraki states. I know, I thought they would be able to handle this better. Then again, heroes were basically allowed to be lazy when that self-righteous bastard was around. But now he's dead, so they are swamped with work. Mustard answers back. I just can't wait to burn down the rest of those hypocrites in the flames of revenge. Dabi contributes. As they keep talking, a gooey portal opens from the ceiling and spindly legs come out. They clamp down onto the roof of the inside structure as the Nowhere King pulls himself out and lands. The other villains hearing this, turn off the TV and quickly turn around. So happy I get to finally meet the rest of you on better conditions. I must apologize again for killing the two that were with our league before, but like I said, they would have not agreed with us in the long run. Master, happy you here. Me hungry, wonder if have food? Moonfish inquires. Nowhere King obliges and gives Moonfish a few human carcasses, then turns back to the others. Now back to the point, you all know why you're here. We want to break down this society and wipe the vermin from the face of the earth, make them rot in their own filth, to make it so the beings that transcend their pestilence like us may be free to roam this oasis of a prison we call home. For that, however, you all need to no longer be human. But I won't do it now, for I have a different mission for you all first. What is it, my master? Shigaraki asks without fail. Most of the others are a bit apprehensive but know that this man is the true mastermind behind their group as well as the one able to beat Almight in combat. There is an associate of All for One that I am interested in. He goes by the name Gigantomachia. I trust you all to locate him and convince the giant to join us, understand? They all nod as the Nowhere King teleports out of the area. The area he appears to is what looks like a fancy lab with lots of human-sized containers. Ah, my precious Nomu. My lovely pretties are getting so strong and intelligent. I should test them out, I'll only send one though. After all, I need to still make those heroes as well as now the Meta-Liberation Army think we are still weak. To think those fools thought no one would notice what they are planning, or at the very least not expect me to know. Their egos are too big. Back to the Nomu though, hood should suffice. Nowhere King then opens one of the containers as a massive Nomu with a hunched over back and its flesh moving over its head like a hood pops out. It turns toward the black sludge of hate and bows to him. Go out and cause a havoc. Target the current number 1 hero named Endeavor and make sure he suffers. If he dies, well done. If he doesn't, well, your battle won't be a complete loss. In other words, you get to fight the strongest on their side. Nowhere King commands. Yes, master, we'll slaughter the strong one. Have good fight. Hood answers back as his master opens a portal and the Nomu flies through. Meanwhile, the number 2 and number 1 heroes Hawks and Endeavor are talking with each other. They are discussing a joint partnership to find out rumors about more Nomu wandering around and scaring people. Endeavor finds this pointless, but Hawks has given some good reason why they should look into it. Damn it, with All Might dead the country is in panic. Especially since a single villain could beat him. I have to reassure the people, and if debunking these rumors will then so be it, Endeavor thinks to himself. As they keep discussing at the top floor of a large restaurant, they both see from the corner of their eye a black, gooey portal opening right outside the window. Hawks, duck! Endeavor shouts as Hood blasts into the window and through concrete. As the smoke clears, Endeavor is holding the creature back by its shoulders. The only reason the thing didn't go through the entire floor is due to the number 1 hero. He shoots a blast of fire, knocking the Nomu back outside of the building, but it just uses the jets on its back to stay in the air. Your Endeavor. Supposed to be strongest, let's see if that true. So far, not impressed. Hood states as it has a big smirk on its face. Hawks, I'll take care of this monster, you go and make sure all civilians are evacuated. Endeavor commands as he uses his flames to also fly and tackles the Nomu. Hawks listens to the flaming hero's commands and uses his many feathers to get everyone out of the building. Back in the fight, Hood catches one of Endeavor's punches as it then has its limb split into a bunch of tendrils and wrap around the hero. It then elongates its limb and slashes through the entire upper half of the building, slamming the hero through walls of concrete in the process. Endeavor though escapes afterward by burning through the tendrils. This Nomu can regenerate, didn't see the gray ones do that. Does that mean the black ones have more abilities? It's not just that though, this one is on an entirely different level than the others, cause it can talk. That means I can probably use it for interrogation if I take it in alive, the hero thought to himself as he charged another blast. The Nomu saw this though as it charged in quickly and kneed Endeavor in the jaw and then flipped over and punched him into another building. You not good enough. Let's finish this. Hood taunts the hero. Endeavor though gets back up and flies back up in the air. Yes, let's end this Nomu. The flame of ambition. Hawks was zooming through the floors of the falling building, using his feathers to catch civilians in danger. He knew he couldn't save all of them, but he'd save as many as possible. He just hoped Endeavor will be able to beat that Nomu, especially since he had just become the #1 hero. It would be bad if people saw him beaten right after Almight had been killed by a villain still on the loose. Just then, he heard the sound of an explosion as the entire collapsing part of the building just broke to pieces. Hawks was glad he was able to get himself and everyone else out of there in time. Endeavor charges at Hood and throws a right hook. The Nomu, however, leans his neck back, dodging the blow, and then kicks Endeavor in the gut. The blow launched the flame hero into another building, causing a crater to be in it. He quickly, however, got back on his feet and shot many flame whips out of his fingers and swatted them all around. Get sliced to pieces and burn, flash fire fist hell spider. The move exploded the part of the building that had been collapsing and cut off all of the Nomu's limbs. The creature, however, just had its neck bend backwards to look at the hero and smiled. Its limbs instantly grew back and blasted at the hero. Parts of its back morphed into jet boosters, making it move faster than Endeavor could see. This caused the creature to ram right into him and bite into his side. Endeavor just clenches his jaw in pain as he reaches down, grips both sides of the Nomu's mouth with his hands, and pries them open. With the beast wide open, he blasts a torrent of fire straight in the monster's face. Sadly, he didn't release that powerful of one, so the creature just shook it off and kept its charge. Is that all you got, hero? The Nomu shouted. Hardly, you freak, I'm just getting warmed up, and you're nothing more than target practice for me. Endeavor shouted as he gripped Hood's neck and blasted a torrent of flame point blank. The beast was propelled into the grounds, breaking asphalt and concrete as it landed. Endeavor quickly pursued the beast, slamming down onto it with a jet-propelled axe kick straight to the head. This caused the ground to crack even more as the Nomu screamed in pain. Endeavor prepared to do another kick, but before he could, a bunch of tendrils burst out of the beast's back, stabbing into the hero's shoulder and wrists as it tossed him aside. Smell more heroes, don't want more bother. Stay out of way, only fight strongest. Must distract. Hood grumbled as its stomach split open and spewed out 6 smaller, gray-colored Nomu. Once Hawks saw the other monsters starting to crawl towards citizens, he zoomed over with 2 large feathers and sliced through them. Sadly, they didn't do much damage, but it got the creatures to focus on him. Any heroes in the area, come help take care of the other Nomu, let #1 take care of the big guy, Hawks commanded. Back in the air, Hood and Endeavor were still clashing, both had their hands clasped together, trying to overpower the other. You are strong, hero, despite being birthed by the perfect one. Our father could have use for you. Quirk is pretty, destructive flames. Father makes stronger, join us. The Nomu gurgled. I will never join you and your kind. If not for me, then for Almight, our fallen comrade, and for the people I must live for in order to atone. There are many mistakes I have made in my life, not one of them though will be to put you down. With that declaration, Endeavor cocked his fist back, covered it in flame, then punched the Nomu in the jaw, causing it to be completely ripped off. The smell of burning flesh filled the air as the flame hero went for another blow. The beast's eyes filled with terror as it moved up, causing the hero to punch right through the monstrosity's chest instead, making a perfect, singed hole. The Nomu gazed down at the pro as it gripped the living furnace's arm, and then regenerated its jaw and its chest around the hand. The beast then pulled the hero closer, and with its claws slashed across his eye, making the hero scream in pain. The Nomu's rib bones pierced the pro's fist, as it went to claw at his other eye. Endeavor wasn't taking it. He ripped his hand out, tearing his own flesh as well as the beast's, as he then made more flame whips with his other hand and wrapped them around the Nomu's limbs. The monstrosity, though, had more limbs spout out of its back and stomach as they charged for the proa. Just before they struck, though, the hero blasted upward, taking the Nomu with him. He then spun around and smashed his fist into the monster's face as the momentum pushed it upward, causing the blow to do even more damage. The Nomu regenerated again in almost an instant, and then blasted off, seeming to taunt the hero to chase it. Endeavor knew, though, he wouldn't be fast enough, but couldn't give up, so chased after the beast anyway. As they zoomed through the air, suddenly Hawks appeared in front of Hood and slashed straight through its face. The beast made a roar as its arm enlarged and swatted the bird hero away as it kept moving forward. Damn, I ain't strong enough to really affect this thing. I can match it in speed, however, so I'll send my feathers over to you, number one. You better finish this. Hawks mutters to himself as a bunch of his feathers leave him and fly to Endeavor. Once the feather made it to the flame hero, they combined with his heat and created massive wings of fire that boosted Endeavor to match the speed of the Nomu. He flies straight into the creature and traps it in a headlock. He then launches himself upward, high up into the air where no one can reach. The Nomu keeps stabbing the hero with its tendrils and tries to pull him off, but Endeavor doesn't let up. Nomu, you heartless monster! Your creator is an abomination on this society, and though you may view him as a savior, he is also a destroyer. I will not let you and your kind bring your chaos onto this world, for in order to rise above to the hero I need to be, I need to atone for my corrupted past that made me like your kind. So burn, and be nothing but ash. Prominence burn. Endeavor ends with a shout as he surrounds both of them with a tornado of flames so bright and large, it couldn't be compared to anything but as if looking at a supernova. Once the move is done, a smoking blob falls to the ground, and what rises from the smoke is Endeavor. Injured and bleeding, he stands tall with the ashes of the Nomu covering him, and his fist held high. All that can be heard is cheering from the crowds of people echoing through the news stations, as the new number one hero has triumphed over evil. Through the news feed, however, we now see a massive sludge beast staring through a television watching. It seems Hood was destroyed. That's fine. It was only one of many. Of course, he was the prototype, which is a bit of a bummer. Nowhere King gargles to himself. The Lord's ghostly green pupils change to an iridescent blue as his voice echoes. Report, Shigaraki. Quirk, transmit voice. The user is able to transmit his voice and the voices of those they know to and from each other. Drawback: causes the user to have a sore throat if overused. Master, we found him, the power all for one left. We have found Gigantomachia. Liberation begins now. Shigaraki stared up at the behemoth of a man in the middle of the forest in wonder and disappointment. So, this is the power that has been left by All for One. So far I'm not impressed, you're just a large buffoon with some fancy powers, Shigaraki stated as the other league members were standing with him. Gigantomachia just stared down at them, then raised both his hands and slammed them down. The blast destroyed all the ground in a 50-foot radius, and the air pressure from the blast launched all the league members back. The beast then started charging at them before they could adjust to that attack. Before the big guy could hit Shigaraki though, Rappa got in the way and blocked the attack. Sweet, this guy seems to be really strong, let's fight. I want to test my mettle against yours, big guy, he proudly shouted to Makia. The two brawlers started to clash, Makia easily overpowering Rappa if it wasn't for the resident redhead dodging the massive giant's attacks. Meanwhile, Shigaraki seemed to be communicating with Nowhere King. Master, I don't understand why you don't just come here and tame this large baby yourself. It would be so easy for you. Tamura, you obviously have so much to learn if you're asking such a thing. Though it has been a while, how about you and our associates pay a visit? Nowhere King stated as all the league members had black goo burst out of their mouths, wrap around them, then teleport them to what looks like an underground hideout. The league members cough up the access goop as they look around and see Nomu of different sizes and designs all over the place, wandering around and working. They then see a throne farther ahead with Nowhere King's sludgy body sinking into it. The only part visible besides the gooey substance is his skull resting at the top. Shigaraki immediately went forward and bowed to him. Tamura, raise your head. I called you here to educate you about why I won't help you deal with Makia. Nowhere King's voice echoed as his spindly, spider-like legs with hooves protracting from his body as he stood up, his long, slimy tail flowing behind him. You are my second in command, the one that gives the orders when I cannot, and the one in charge when I am gone. I cannot have everything done be due to me. You can't have things given to you on a silver platter all the time. You must tame Makia yourself in order to prove that you can take my place if I am ever out of commission. Though, the rest of you have all proven yourselves to be part of the cause. So, I think it's time you join in the evolution. Nowhere King's sludgy body releases tendrils that swerve through the maze-like hallways of this warehouse until they come back with a blue, circular object that center seems to be constantly spinning and radiating energy. This creation of mine is our evolution. With it, you will no longer be human. You will be like Tamura, Kurogiri, and I, Quirk all the way down. Nowhere King states. Speaking of, where is Kurogiri/E? Who needs him? The personalities of Twice ask. Kurogiri is currently on another mission, mostly preparing for me to do my half of our deal. Nowhere King then focuses back on Shigaraki. So Tamura, you understand what to do? Yes, Master. After my party members get their upgrades, I will go defeat that overgrown boss battle. I'll show the big lug that I'm more than worthy of being his superior. Shigaraki exclaims. Nowhere King just smirks as he gets to work with every league member, editing them and granting them new abilities. Then, once he's done, he teleports them back to Makia. It's now about 2 months later, and we see Shigaraki dodging all of Makia's attacks as the big guy tries to crush him. Our resident hand user ducks under another blow and rushes at the big lug, trying to touch him but gets whacked by the giant's other arm. And even though the big guy's wrist starts to decay, it immediately stops and heals. Shigaraki launches over a cliff from the blow and Makia jumps after him. But the villain just lands in the air, the wind condensing into a solid form underneath his feet. This causes the giant to fall past Shigaraki. But when the big guy lands, he just burrows underground, thus narrowly missing the blue flames and gas blasted by Dobby and Mustard. Airwalk is such a useful quirk. I'm glad I asked Master to add something like this to my arsenal. Shigaraki mutters to himself as he leaps off, diving down to the ground. After a few more hours of cat and mouse, Gigantomachia falls asleep and the league members take a breather. As they are relaxing, however, Compress gets a call from Jiren. Oh, if it isn't our resident info broker. I wonder what he's calling for. Compress asks himself as he answers. Jiren, why are you calling? You've been ghosting us for months. Ah, sorry. That would be us. A mysterious, high-pitched voice answers. The identity being masked through a voice changer. You see, we've captured your foolish broker in order to get information about you all. I am Redestro, leader of the Meta Liberation Army. Okay, what does that have to do with us? Mustard asks as he leans in. I declare whoever leads this rebellion the name Destro. Your organization has gotten too popular and stands against our ideals. We don't know exactly what you want, but we know it's different from the liberation of meta abilities. In order to announce our revival, we will annihilate you. Please, like your little party can do anything. Give us back the broker, and we'll get back to you. We're busy at the moment. Shigaraki boredly states through the phone. I don't take kindly to you insinuating that we're a small party. We have 113,106 hidden warriors all across Japan. We also are tracking you on our satellite, so either you come to Daika City or we send the heroes to capture you. What's it gonna be, Shigaraki? Shigaraki smirks as he grabs the phone and turns it to dust. He then turns and gestures to the others to follow him. Wait, we're seriously gonna do this, / let's kick their asses. Twice questions and exclaims. Yeah, Tamura, are you insane? Then there's so much blood I can suck, and maybe some new friends too. Toga dreamily says to herself. Food there. We'll kill, we'll eat. Hungry. Moonfish moans to himself. Don't worry, I've got a plan. After fighting Makia for a while, I've realized he's not invincible, just has lots of HP and stamina. He also seems to always know where I am, like a GPS. So we'll go in and take care of those human scum, and anyone that we can't defeat, we'll leave to the giant once he arrives. Let's show those fools how we are the peak of evolution. We'll show them the halls of heaven and the depths of hell. Shigaraki states cockily. The unexpected note. Aizawa was sitting at his desk in the teacher's lounge, looking exhausted. The many encounters with the League of Villains, the amount of paperwork, Almight being dead, and factor in his nighttime hero activities has made his sleep schedule non-existent. There was also the fact his longtime friend, Yamada, otherwise known as Present Mike, has been in and out of the room, gossiping and shouting each time he entered. He heard the door open again, except this time was more rushed and practically slammed with how loud it was. Aizawa turned to tell Yamada to be quiet but quickly stopped once he saw the look of terror and shock on his face. Hisashi, what's wrong? Aizawa asked. Jay, just look and see. I can't believe it myself and think it's a lie too, but it's his handwriting, Yamada said shakily while giving a box and letter to Aizawa. Aizawa looked at Yamada questionably but grabbed both objects. He looked at the letter first, and his eyes widened in shock when he saw what was on the envelope. It said, To Shoyuta Aizawa and Hisashi Yamada. From Oboro Shirakumo. But that's not possible. He's dead, he died in front of me. What bastard is trying to dishonor his memory by doing this? Aizawa growled out loud as he ripped the letter open. But as Aizawa read through the letter, his anger turned into disbelief, pain, and hope. Dear Shoyuta and Hisashi, if you are reading this, then my letter and gift made it to you safely. I know for you both that I am dead, I had died many years ago. In actuality, that is the truth, but a horrible man took me and played with my carcass like a lab rat. I don't remember much that happened, for I was not living the whole time, yet somehow I can still feel the fear and pain through the countless experiments. I probably either would have stayed dead or became a mindless puppet for that monster. Lucky for me, someone came to my rescue. He has given me a purpose and brought me back from the dead with free will, though I have a new appearance and go by a new name. The one who saved me is not seen as good to most, but he has shown me kindness and given me a family. I couldn't be happier. Except, you both aren't here with me. I want us all to be together again, maybe more so given time. I'll see you both soon, I love you, Shoyuta and Hisashi. P.S. Inside the box is something that you'll both recognize and another thing to prove it's me. Aizawa glares at the letter as he hands it to Yamada and goes for the box, opening it. He reaches inside and pulls out what looks to be a pair of goggles. To anyone else this would seem like any other headwear, but the moment Aizawa saw them, tears started falling from his eyes. These are the exact ones that Oboro used when at UA. But they were lost in the accident that killed him. How is this possible? He's dead. If he's alive then what do we do? Aizawa finally asks while looking back at Yamada, tears pouring down both their faces. I don't know, Shoyuta, I really don't know. But Oboro might be alive. Holy shit, our best friend might still be alive. Think about how his parents will feel when they hear this. Except he didn't contact his parents, he contacted us. God, and who the hell was he talking about that revived him? Yamada talked in a rush as he pulled Aizawa into a hug, both comforting each other in relief and shock. He said that this person isn't seen as a good person to most. Which means probably a villain. If it is, does that mean Oboro is a villain now? What happened to him wanting to save people and caring for every living creature? Then again, he just said he was tortured for years, which would affect anyone's mental state. And he said he'll see us soon, so does that mean the villain he's with plans to do something, or is it specifically him just coming to see us somehow? He also delivered it to us through UA, meaning that Oboro has kept up with our activities. He seems to know that we're now teachers and probably caught up on our hero careers as well. Aizawa deduced out loud. We should probably inform Nizu. If he is a villain or working with one, we need to inform him. No matter how our feelings on the matter are. Yamada nodded, and they kept hugging until the tears stopped. Afterward they got up, grabbed a coffee each, and went to go talk with Nizu. The goggles lay there on Aizawa's desk, staring as they left. Far away, at the Nowhere King's lair, we see Kurojiri standing before his master. Currently, Shigaraki and the others are heading to Daika City, but Nowhere King held Kurojiri back since they needed to discuss the other mission anyway. So, you plan to pursue your half of the deal? You wish to chase after Eraserhead and Present Mike? You do realize if you do this, you can't make it a full mission. It would more be a hobby you can have. Nowhere King's voice echoed. I understand, Master. But please let me pursue them. They are all I have left that isn't part of the family. My blood parents were never close to my heart, for they treated me wrong for thinking I had a weak quirk. I also have a plan to make them join one way or another. But it does require a quirk that I have in mind but don't currently have, thus the reason I need you for this endeavor. Please let me be with them again. Kurojiri begged as he was about to get down on his hands and knees. Before he could, however, a tendril wrapped around him and lifted him back on his feet. Nowhere King slithered down to Kurojiri's level and spoke. You may do as you please. You are family and should be happy like the rest of us. You may have them join the family. Now, what is the quirk you require? Bloodsucker. Shigaraki and the other League of Villain members were sitting on the hillside looking over Daika City, making sure they had everything planned before rushing down there. They knew they could win, but they didn't want to make mistakes by being full of themselves. So they were biding their time and strategizing. They didn't get to wait long though, for some unknown hero named Slide and Ghost showed up. Hey there, League of Villains! Right this way to meet our esteemed leaders. Let me guess, the entire city's population are members of your crew. That's why you wanted us to come here, it has the most members out of any area your influence reaches. Shigaraki banters as they follow the hero. Right you are. About 90% of this city are hidden warriors. As you know, we are here to defeat you, but first waiting till the heads decide to start. Slide and Go answers as they are all now in the streets of Daika City. You're smarter than I thought you'd be, Shigaraki. A new man says as he shows up. The man is wearing a fancy suit, has slicked back, black hair, and a short mustache. Next to him is a woman with blue skin, magenta-colored, long hair and has black eyes with amber-colored pupils. My code name is Trumpet, and this lovely lady next to me is Curious. We are two of the generals for the Meta Liberation Party. Now, my fellow Liberation members, let's show these villains the sound of our revival party. A bunch of people jump out from behind alleys, off of buildings and out of them too. They start to attack all the League members, splitting them up. The League spreads out for they realize being swarmed would be too much together, especially since some members have area-affecting attacks. Toga jumps, climbs up a building and starts leaping from one to another. A few random foes try to attack her but she just dodges through them and slices them up, causing them to bleed out or die from the wounds. Such beautiful blood, I wish I could drink it right now but I'm too busy. Toga mumbles to herself. As she steps on the next building though, the roof under her glows and then explodes. As she's falling though, long claws grow out of her fingers and she hooks to the wall. Fascinating, no one informed me you could do such a thing. Himiko Toga, such a curious girl that seemed normal but then went insane. I must know what made you go this route, please tell me. Curious asked with sparkles in her eyes. Toga glared at the woman and growled. She then took out a knife and threw it at her target, but a damn subordinate went in front and took the hit themselves. Realizing that they would protect the lady, she realized to take care of them first. Toga smirked as she let go and landed safely on the ground, then massive, bat-like wings sprouted out of her back. She then flew at them and opened her mouth. Launching out of her gaping maw was a slithering tongue. It zipped around and cut through about half the people, thereby stabbing through their throats. Quirk Onimorph. Description: the user can change any part of their body or their full body to gain the characteristics of another animal. Drawback: the smallest thing they can turn into is a mouse, and the biggest thing a wolf. They also can only have 2 different types of animal characteristics active at a time. Quirk, Whip Tongue. Description: the use has complete over their tongue and the end is sharpened to the point it's like a blade. Drawback: can only reach 20 meters and requires extra concentration to use at first. You're all so delicious. I'll love to suck you all dry, then I can become like you and be even more beautiful. As she keeps sucking though, she feels something wrong as then the blood inside her that she drank blew up, causing her to fall down onto the ground injured. Ah, not so fast. We specifically targeted you, and there are members that are more than happy to become bombs for the cause. Now I want to know your story, why you stopped being normal. Curious purred as she stomped on Toga's head. You see, after asking your parents and classmates, they all said the same thing, that you were a normal, high school girl. Yet at some point you just seemed to snap and attack a fellow student then vanish. Your parents even mentioned how your impulses horrified them and that they tried to make you normal. This is exactly what we are fighting for. You were repressed by a world that can't accept your meta ability, but we do. Toga's tongue lashed out to try and hit Curious, but she blocked it with some fancy gauntlet that then blasted multiple explosions at Toga, launching the vampire through a building. Toga lay there in the concrete, but then started giggling. Her tone soon switched to laughter, maniacal laughter. Oh, you silly woman, you really are a fool. What do you mean? Normal. My life is normal. Toga bellows as she gets up, the bat wings sprouting from her back again. I am beyond the filth that you are sure. I find some of your kind cute, but really most of you are self-centered pigs. I can't wait to gut you all like fish and drink your innards. I was originally saving this blood for a special occasion, but you've earned it since I've wanted to test something anyway. Toga pulls out a small vial and punctures it with her teeth. After slurping up all the delicious blood, her body transforms to have rounder cheeks, brown hair, and doe eyes. She turned into Ochiko Uraraka, one of the students terrorized by the villains when they invaded the training camp months ago. Interestingly enough, she still had her bat wings jutting out, with the outer clone layer sticking to them but not wrapping around them. Toga flew quickly back to the Liberation members and started touching them with 5 fingers, each one starting to float into the air. The only person she left alone was Curious as Toga took to the skies. She floated there with a euphoric glee on her face as the living bodies were hanging around her. I want to live and die however I want. No one can hold me back, and no one can tie me down. The only others that I'll share my dream with are them. My league, my family. Now all of you, plummet to your doom like the funny little birds that you are. Toga purrs as she releases Uraraka's power, causing the criminals to fall and splat on the pavement. Now, as for you. Curious eyes widen in terror as she tries to run away. Toga, though, quickly zips past her and cuts the woman's wrist with one of her claws as the clone suit melts off her, turning her back to Toga. I have a special, painful gift for you. One slow and agonizing. Toga flicks her finger in a come here gesture, and suddenly blood starts seeping out of the cut and floating towards the vampire. Curious tries to escape, but she falls due to her body getting weaker. The blood keeps draining and draining until all that's left is a withered husk. The blood circles together into a big ball and Toga opens her mouth, her long tongue wrapping around it, then her jaws snapping shut. Quirk, blood pull. Description: the user can pull blood towards them within their line of sight. Drawback: the target must be bleeding for it to work, and it can only come towards them. It also makes them a bit dizzy if overused. Wow, that battle took a lot out of me. Also, I think I got hurt worse than I thought. I think I'll take a nap for a while. Toga mumbles to herself as she collapses. 2 heads? Better with more. Through the streets of Daika City there is chaos. Ice and fire cover at least a third of the entire megalopolis, while other members of the Meta Liberation Army try to chase down and kill the League of Villain members. The flames and frost are occurring due to a battle between a member on each side. One is wearing a blue parka and has a mask that makes it so his face is pitch black with empty, white eyes. His name is Geeton. The other is wearing a white, semi-ripped tailcoat with a hood covering his head and is wearing a black Oni mask with blue accents. This one is Dabi. You should give up now, fire user. Despite your powers being effective against mine, I have more resources and imagination with my meta ability. For you see, I control all ice, while you only produce, meaning you have an upper limit, while I do not. So, prepare to be crushed, villain scum. Geeton states calmly as the ice swarms around him and forms into a massive dragon. Really now? 'Cause from what I see, you're just all talk, you ice cream cone. How about you come down here so I can shove a spoon up your ass? Better yet, I'll just melt ya and let the flies drink ya. Dabi shouts at the end as he fires a torrent of blue flames at the ice user. While the dragon dodges out of the way, it still gets hit, making it start to melt. Though Giten just refreezes it, making Dabi realize that his opponent can also affect moisture in general. On the other hand, while Giten notices Dabi's hand being burned and smoking. Though his cockiness quickly dissipates when he sees the wound heal completely in mere moments, and upon closer inspection of his opponent, can see tufts of white hair poking from the hood. Giten decides to not focus on that though, as he makes a large fist out of ice to cover his hand and leap off the dragon. Dabi does the same, covering his fist with flames and charging at Giten. Their fists clash in an explosion of heat and cold as they collide with each other. Meanwhile, a bit further away, Mr. Compress and Shigaraki seem to be together fighting off more and more foes. Shigaraki disintegrates anyone he can get his hands on as well as crush others by altering their gravitational pull, while Compress seems to just be dancing around his foes and hitting them with his cane. Wow, this guy's pathetic, just using a dumb cane. What can he do, party? Some of the weaklings prattle and mock as Compress just shakes his head. You can't see the bigger picture, you useless prattle. For a magician always makes things appear as magic, and I shall make your heart disappear. Compress purrs as his pupils change to a red color. Compress zooms his eyes in, causing him to see through the random cannon fodder's body and skeleton, finding the heart. He then compresses the heart and makes a gesture with his finger towards him, having the little orb burst out through the foe's chest and into his hand. Compress then snaps his fingers, having it turn back into a heart, with it still pumping out blood. See, magic is all in the hands. Quirk, Compress upgraded. Description: the user can now compress anything they see into a marble and uncompress whenever they want to. Drawback: drains the user's stamina. Quirk, X-ray vision. Description: the user has the ability to look through solid objects and life forms. Drawback: sore eyes. Quirk, telekinesis. Description: the user has the ability to move objects and people with their mind. Drawback: user can only lift a certain amount of weight and gets headaches if they exceed the limit. Now let's continue the show, Compress states as he has lots of debris floating behind him and fires at other foes. Back where Toga resides, we see her laying against a building, passed out with blood dripping from her mouth, unable to be told if it's hers or someone else's. Twice happens to zoom by, almost missing her, but then catches a glimpse in his peripheral vision. Toga, oh my god, are you okay? She's fine. She looks really hurt. Is that your blood? Nah, she can't bleed. Shut up, we need to get something to patch her up. It's useless. Twice kept arguing with himself as he tried to assess the damage, though he didn't get much time as two people grabbed his arms. He tried to struggle and looked back to see who grabbed him, but started panicking when he saw the ones who grabbed him looked exactly like him. As he was freaking out, four more of himself arrived and picked up Toga. The only differences between him and the others were they didn't have their faces covered and weren't speaking at all. What is this? Why are there others of me? Are they fake? Am I the fake? Are they gonna hurt Toga? Why? She's my friend. Or maybe I would hurt her. Twice spews out in quick succession, going into a panic attack as he can do nothing. He starts breathing faster and harder as it takes harder to breath, his vision phasing out and getting more blurry. Far away in a tower that resides in the middle of Daika City there are three people. One has gray hair, a horrible fashion sense, crooked teeth and seems to be chained up. While the other two are perfectly intact, one with long, black hair that covers his eyes and sitting down on a chair while using a laptop. The other has brown hair spiked on one side with a long, pointy nose and wearing a black tuxedo. He also seems to be twirling a glass of wine. Soon, Destro, we shall crush these fools. I am currently crushing Jin Babaigawaра's psyche, and once I do, I shall compel him to join us. Though, Toga still needs to be killed in order to complete Curious Feature. The long-haired one grumbled the end to himself while he controls the fake Twice puppets. Good work, Skeptic. I knew your expertise in technology would come in handy for this. Also, I should thank you for earlier getting that client list from our prisoner. Now let us watch as our work bears fruit, Destro exclaims in confidence. Back with Toga and Twice, our favorite doubling maniac is still shaking as his eyes seem to be focused elsewhere, trying to figure out if he's real or not. As he falls deeper into panic, he tries to struggle out of the fake ones that are holding him. Skeptic doesn't like that, so commands them to break twice arms, causing the fakes to snap them with ease. Though, that unwittingly snaps twice out of his panic attack in almost an instant. Wait, my bones broke, but I'm not disappearing. Ha 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 ha. Twice starts laughing hysterically in joy and anger. I can't believe this. I could have checked straight from the beginning but was too scared, but now, there's no need to be afraid, 'cause I know what me and the others me will want. Hell yeah, let's go exterminate them. Meta Liberation Army, prepare to fall. For I will do anything to save my friends, even embracing what terrifies me most. It's bloodbath time. Twice two personalities exclaim as sludge comes out of him and grabs both fakes holding him and tosses them aside. They then whip around and knock away the ones holding Toga and grab the younger girl, pulling her to him. Afterwards the sludge detaches and starts forming into more twice. The clones keep producing more clones until there's already a small army. Okay boys, let the massacre begin. All the twice state at once with anger and hate in their eyes. Destro's will. Far away in an abandoned laboratory, we see the Nomus hard at work messing with a bunch of cables, pods, and other types of tech. Meanwhile, resting in the throne of the Nowhere King seems to be an inky black portal, dripping with the same viscous ooze as the Lord of Nothing's corporeal body. Entering inside the gooey mass leads to a blank white canvas, going as far as the eye can see. Inside the empty void rests the Nowhere King. Lying in wait, circling around its precious weapon, the machine used to make any quirk. Its blue glow shimmers as a low hum resonates through the spinning, spherical center of the device. Ah, it's good to be home. Fascinating to finally discover the reason for why I was able to make you, my little marvel. It seems that not only is it not possible to tell time here, but it also passes differently. Though the body doesn't seem affected by the aging process. I may have still been in the body of a child, but my mind had already matured. Isn't that interesting, my other self? Nowhere King purrs as it turns its head to gaze behind its gelatinous body. Standing there is a young, teenage-looking boy with freckles and green fluffy hair, yet has an expression of indifference. Now tell me, how are you here? I thought I destroyed you when I killed Almight at Kamino Ward. Also, you were younger back then, merely our child-obsessed selves. You decided to create a new version of our original quirk, but make it to where you can open portals anywhere you want. The singularity still creates drawbacks for said quirks, thus reconstituting a form of our old consciousness to be considered the sane one. Though it built it based on our current age, not our old one, hence the new look. Izuku explained as he walked around the large beast, and crouched in front of him. Now don't worry, this little rebirthing opened up my eyes a bit more since our last conversation. I won't meddle with your plans anymore, especially when it comes to All Might's successor. Nowhere King raises its head at that admission, a bit confused. What do you mean successor? He growls. Izuku sighs as he puts his hands to his forehead, with his pointer fingers and thumbs pressing together. While you have been focusing on our Nomu and the League's activities, I've been monitoring the heroes. It seems All Might's power can be passed on to another, and before you killed him, he gave it to a third-year student at UA by the name of Mirio Togata. So like I said, you can do whatever you want to him. While I feel your actions are a bit extreme, I do agree now that the status quo must change. So I no longer will stop you on one condition. Nowhere King leans closer, its interest piqued. And what would that be, Izuku? A sinister smile appears on Izuku's face, the grin reaching past his ears. We fixed Kaken. No more of that pesky quirk, we'll give him a better one. Kaken is mine. Back at Daika City, the Meta Liberation Army members are still trying to fight the villains but now seem to be getting overrun as an army of twice is overpowering and crushing them. As this is going on, the battle between Dalby and Geeton rages on. Come on, is that the best you can do, you Eskimo wannabe? I'm getting bored here. Dalby cackles as he blasts flames from the bottoms of his feet, the pyromaniac glowing an iridescent purple as even the air around him starts to melt the ice. Quirk, cremation upgraded. The user has the ability to produce purple flames that reach 3000 degrees Fahrenheit 1650 Celsius drawback. The flames burn the user's body. Quirk, heat field. The user can manipulate the temperature of any non-living thing around them in a 10-meter radius. Drawback: if overused, the user has breathing issues. You really need to pay attention more, hothead. I'm pretty sure you already noticed that I affect the temperature of moisture as well. This includes water, and what do you think courses through all pipes in a city? Giton calmly exclaims as he raises his hands. Out from below the concrete and tar, all the pipe veins underneath the city burst as an avalanche of icebergs burst out of the ground, skewering and decimating about 90% of the Twice clones. Though, as Giton went back to focus on Dabi, the sludge that was once all the Twice clones started to twist and turn as it smashed through the ice like tendrils. What the? Giton didn't get to finish his sentence though, as one of the tendrils slapped him off his ice dragon. Ha, that's what you get, you lame asshole. He's pretty cool. Did you really think we'd be out of the picture once you destroyed us? We're totally screwed. One of the Twice clones laughed as he started to wave his hands around. Quirk, liquid kinesis. The user has the ability to manipulate and control any liquid substance. Drawback: makes the user dehydrated. Now then, let's make more and annihilate them. Too much work. Another clone states as the sludge shifts and forms back together, but instead into two 80-foot-tall Twice that start to crush anything. Twice, I thought you didn't like making clones of yourself. You sure you're up to this? Mustard asks one of the duplicates next to him as the gas coming out of him takes the forms of firearms and starts shooting at any foes that come across him. Oh totally, love and violence snapped me straight. It didn't help at all. I'm gonna protect my friend, so if that requires me to break even further, I'm happy to just help. Shigaraki, who was listening and just smirks sadistically. Good job Twice, glad to see you're going all out. Now get me to the tower that resides in the middle of the city. I have a feeling that's where the head honcho we are after is. Though Shigaraki had given the order, some of Twice clones had already made it to the tower and were confronting Re Destro as we speak. Hey there you two-face hair-styled hick for brains. I'm here to rescue Jiren, so hand him over before you get hurt. The Twice clone commands as he makes duplicates of himself, as well as a Shigaraki clone. I'm actually surprised you were able to get here, especially with all my warriors. Based on the fact I don't see Mr. Skeptic, I will assume he either retreated or has been killed by you. But you are severely outmatched by Gawara. I shall be rid of your blight with a flick of my hand. Re Destro chuckles as his right arm darkens and turns gigantic, swinging through and turning all the clones into paste. Right at the last moment though, the last Twice clone makes another of him, who rushes to Jiren's side and starts to untie him. Re Destro, annoyed at his struggling, rushes over to finish the job. You know, for someone all talk, you back it up very little. Re Destro's eyes widen as he dodges out of the way from Shigaraki's open palm. You say you're commanding all these soldiers, that you're a leader. Yet you're hiding behind your muscle like some cowardly side character. You boast about Quirk liberation, yet hide your own. What a hypocrite and a sorry excuse for a leader, Shigaraki calmly states as he lunges at the long-nosed leader. Re Destro, angered by the handyman's words, enlarges his hand again and quickly grips Shigaraki by the wrist. I am not hiding. A true leader uses all his resources at his disposal, especially when it's putting animals like you down. That fancy Nomu you had kill Almight was impressive, but you not bringing it with you means it can't be used again. Though I will ask, what type of world are you even trying to create? Re Destro then smashes Shigaraki through glass and concrete, hanging him outside the building. I will carry out Destro's will. My father wanted the freedom for all metas to use their abilities to their full capabilities. It is a natural right. You, on the other hand, are a sociopath that just likes to destroy. You're nothing. Oh, I don't think that at all. You are sorely lacking in the info department as well as completely wrong when it comes to my ideals, Shigaraki claims as he then turns to look at Jiren and the Twice clone. Oh, and Twice. Make sure to cover the fall. I can see him now, the tower's in reach. I'd do it if I was him. The clone gargles at the end as it falls apart in Re Destro's hand. It was at this moment that the original Shigaraki placed his hand at the base of the tower, and it began to fall.
Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.